Good evening and welcome to the second half of the day. I'm Kevin Avril-Walker. Joined with me is Matt Pixie. Carol, you're watching the Overwatch Pacific Championship in the English broadcast. Now look, it's the last day of the regular season play. We've only got 2 matches left.
Yep, it's been a time, I tell you that much. And yeah, 2 matches left, and I don't know, have we saved the best for last, or have you saved it for second of last? So
we saved the best for second to last. I'll put it that way. DeToNator, they got 2 more matches to go tonight. Their first will be versus SunSister, and now the Japanese rivalry continues.
And it will be the last we see of it. And this is an interesting one, right? This is also actually SunSister's last match. It's their last match before relegations, no matter what happens. It's their last chance, not just to beat DeToNator, but to get a win all up.
And actually beating DeToNator here would do 2 things. They would obviously get that match win on their record for the OPC Season 1, but also secondly, it would favor them in the relegations as well, because it would say, look, we can compete with DeToNator, and should we have to play them in the relegations, which may be the case, we can also beat them.
Exactly, because currently the record is 3-0 to DeToNator. So SunSister don't want to walk into relegations with that record having been 4-0. They do want to get this one win, and you're right, it being the most recent win would be a really huge thing for them.
All right, so we're going to get words from both sides before we kick things off, and I'll be translating this one over. Yoshiharu on the right, Night Owl on the left.
大家说，他们会尽力的把那个 XQQ 给封锁住，然后赢下这场比赛。
All right, we're gonna make sure we focus on XQQ today.
僕たちにとって最後の試合になりますので、精一杯頑張りたいと思います。よろしくお願いします。
SunSister 这边是说，因为这一场比赛是他们这个赛季的最后一战，所以他们一定会尽全力，好好把这场
So we're
比
going
赛
to play
打得
our
很精彩。
absolute hardest to try and win this. So there it is. And I like that coming out from Night Owl.
I thought
He knows the stakes are high.
I was wondering if it was going to be like, joke's on you, we benched XQQ. We didn't see
You already have, and we haven't even started playing.
Yeah.
Not if I do it first, you won't.
Therefore, I win. But we've already seen XQQ tonight. They're not going to be subbing him off. And I mean, look, XQQ being on the
You would be
squad,
silly too.
Yeah, XQQ being on the squad is what has actually given them their biggest boost in terms of roster shakeups this entire tournament. So I think they're going into this with exactly the right attitude, all things considered. And even then, it's a bit of a tough ask in an interesting kind of way. But this has always been the most reachable team for them to beat. And I kind of do want to see it happen. Like, this has been the round robin of shakeups. This has probably been actually the most intense and the most close round robin of them all when it's all said and done. And despite that, the standings weren't really able to change at all. The only shift was actually Hong Kong Attitude got past Matchy once again and took 4th place. That's actually been the only change up because of how the tournament is, how it worked out. It is quite a long tournament. But these teams have all now started taking matches of one another. This is where we can expect SunSister to see DeToNator.GOLD. Sorry, where we can expect to see SunSister take a game of DeToNator.GOLD is what I'm trying to say, and possibly even take a whole series. Certainly if they can't do it here, it just wasn't going to happen anywhere. This feels like the most likely time.
Absolutely. Have you had a look at the map history as well for SunSister? They had 5 map wins. 2 of those came from DeToNator.GOLD in the very first round robin. Now, that was a 3-2 in the favor of DeToNator.GOLD. Ever since then, it's been 3-0 for DeToNator.GOLD instead. So SunSister have failed to take maps off their other Japanese team. Tonight, their last chance. But if history repeats itself, we may be looking at another 3-0, and that would be a crushing defeat for SunSister. Now we look at the map schedule as well. DeToNator.GOLD as the home team will have access to map picks 1, 3, and 5. That is the Control, Assault, and the Hybrid, as well as the starting sides. And SunSister will then have the Hybrid and Escort of maps 2 and 4, as well as the starting sides.
So I kind of touched on this as well a moment ago, but the big thing here is this is the last match for SunSister before relegations. Second to last one for DeToNator. They do play Flash Wolves after this in what will be the last match of the tournament of regular season. So if SunSister don't pick up a win, the only thing they can carry with them into relegations is the fact that they spent 11 weeks playing against the other strong teams in the OPC. That would be it. They wouldn't actually have any real evidence of improvement. They wouldn't really have much to show for that time, aside from the assumption that by being exposed to that much regular play, you will have improved somewhat. And that's not really a great baseline to have confidence going into relegations, which is something SunSister desperately need if they want to make it back for Season 2.
My opinion on that is, I think the 11 weeks of play is definitely quite worthwhile, as we're about to get into the rosters as well, so I'll kind of explain my thoughts on this. I'm going to start things off with DeToNator.GOLD, and the reason I think the 11 weeks is really important here is actually you're playing against some of the best teams in our region. That includes the Flash Wolves, Blank, AHQ, Hong Kong Attitude, you name it, they're all there. All 70 of the other teams are actually just the best teams currently in our region until we see evidence of the other teams coming through. And that's what the relegation and promotion tournament is for. So actually, the teams that will be going to the relegation and promotion tournament, they'll either be new teams or teams that have been playing, but not at a professional level, not like SunSister. And so SunSister, I feel, have a pretty good, strong baseline to work with.
That is absolutely the case. And that's the other thing, you know, we actually have no idea what is going to be coming into the relegation tournament. I guarantee you there are going to be some teams that are probably quite deserving to be in OPC, right? I guarantee that's going to be the case. Some that could, really take it to even some of the middle tier teams right now. They do actually still have to make it in. That's the thing, right? These are the teams that gatekeep that. And I believe there will also be other teams who are maybe a little bit outclassed. Teams that maybe 11 weeks ago would have beaten SunSister, but not now that SunSister have had this experience. So it's really hard to say exactly what that would mean for SunSister. But the thing is, right? Anything short of a win here leaves a lot of question marks. At that point, you're relying on the level of teams coming into the promotion tournament just inherently being below wherever your level is. And you don't really have much.
I feel the same way as Delayed.
Yeah, I always feel that way, to be honest.
No, I do think there's a lot of merit in that, of course. So
yeah, and that's one thing that DeToNator will kind of carry into this is, okay, our match record against the other team from the OPC in the promotion relegation tournament is entirely positive if they take out the series. And they can go, if it comes down to it, if it's between us and SunSister making it back in, they could feel confident that it would be them.
I would say so as well, and it'll be an interesting shake-up for sure. It'll be two of the bottom teams from the OPC Season 1, which are DeToNator.GOLD and SunSister, facing off against a select 6 teams from the APAC region, which will be fighting for the open 2 slots for Season 2 of the OPC. So that's going to be very interesting. And DeToNator.GOLD, well, the DeToNator organization actually have already announced that their Korean team, DeToNator KR, will be participating into that. So that should be very exciting.
Yeah, which will be interesting. And I mean, we'll absolutely get more of a chance to talk about that when we actually do come to that tournament, which we will be able to see here. That's going to be pretty cool. And yeah, like that's just one of the teams, right? And the thing is, there's still all these other question marks about the other ones, but it speaks to the sort of teams that are going to be going after this. And of course, there is a lot of APAC.
Oh boy.
Hello. 3-0.
3-0, but to who? That is the question, XQQ.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to be to DeToNator because XQQ was sleeping through the whole series. Who knows?
Oh boy, I mean...
I get what he's going for here, but like this could hilariously backfire. I appreciate his eyebrows, eh?
I don't know if he'll be wrong. I think, to be honest, he could really just be correct there because it could just be 3-0 to either team, which would be very interesting. Yeah. And a massive counter sweep for SunSister because, look, they've been 3-0 now twice by DeToNator. Now's their chance to maybe just reverse the stakes and say, maybe we can 3-0 the guys instead.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, that's absolutely what they're hoping for, right? This will have probably been one of the matches they would have prepared for the absolute most. And like I said, it's because this is the team that is most within striking distance of them right now. And that's really been the case pretty much since the top of the tournament. So, with that in mind, do we actually think SunSister are going to pull out anything odd? We have seen XQQ going more into the stock standards. I don't know about you, but I don't want to see major deviations from that tonight. I just want to see them stick to their guns.
And we've actually seen them, if you just watched the most recent game, they played against Hong Kong Attitude.
I hope you did.
I mean,
it was great.
They went to Time Bank on Kings Row against Hong Kong Attitude, something that you wouldn't have expected from an earlier incarnation of SunSister. Now, SunSister, we're talking about, are they going to stick to their guns? Are they going to bring out something new? I think they're going to stick to their guns, and the reason for that is because look at the rate they've actually improved on their current compositions, their current strategies. They're using what they've been using for a rather long time now, at least for one complete round robin, which will be finishing off with this very match. And the result of that so far is they got to Time Bank against Hong Kong Attitude and actually threatened to take that map off them. So, I mean, That almost sounds like, well, they almost won a map, but actually Hong Kong Attitude have been one of the upper teams in this competition, especially in this final round robin. So that's actually a lot bigger of a deal than maybe it looks like on paper.
Yeah, exactly. Because as much as it's almost won a map, that's like almost won a map against a team that just beat two of the teams that are going to be going to playoffs. Like
exactly.
It is a hugely significant thing in a really roundabout kind of way. Like it is like it's kind of measuring yardsticks against yardsticks, but it still gives you an adequate measurement of where this team may be at.
And this has been the round robin, not just for upsets, but for teams that do not normally get wins to get those wins. So we've already seen, look, Hong Kong Attitude has been the story of this round robin. They got the wins off of Blank. They got 2 wins off of AHQ also in this round robin and also the last one. Now Fireball just this evening, they got a win off of Hong Kong Attitude. And that's nothing against Hong Kong Attitude. Fireball has actually been a team that's vastly accelerated through the tournament, especially in this round robin. So if the storyline goes, if it continues on its current trajectory, this is SunSister's best chance to get that win.
Yeah, it really is. And to that end, like I said, we do kind of hope that comes through. I mean, the other side of that is actually a loss here for DeToNator. Like, it's a morale boost for SunSister, but it's not too detrimental for DeToNator because they do still have all those other benefits that SunSister have, the 11 weeks of regular play, and they do still have, over the course of the whole tournament, the stronger record versus SunSister. So, I'm not saying like, oh, it should be this way. Like, it's not like a logical breakdown. That's not how that works, right? But a loss for DeToNator is just totally not the end of the world here. And it would be so huge for SunSister. You almost kind of hope it happens because we're not going to be going like, oh man, that hurts for DeToNator. They're now looking terrible. It's not going to be like that. And to that end, DeToNator are a team that has actually started to come closer and closer and closer themselves to really picking up some solid. They started taking map wins against teams like AHQ and the likes of that in this most recent round robin. Like, they have really started to push their own boundaries. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated into series wins, but both of these teams have shown significant improvement. DeToNator have some concrete markers of it. SunSister want to get some concrete markers of it, and this is the closest game that will ever exist between these two teams.
All right, well, DeToNator.GOLD are the home side, so they have picked their starting map already. It will be on Nepal. It's just one of those maps. We're not going to leave which would have been the other map that's... actually, DeToNator has been an interesting team as far as controllers gone because Oasis and Lijiang have kind of been their maps. The only map they've never really gone to is Ilios, and Nepal is not an unexpected map here either. In fact, I kind of think it favors SunSister in the sense that most recently, if you remember, SunSister started out as a Lijiang team, and now they've progressed into a Nepal team specifically.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that has just been driven by XQQ, not just his hero pool, but the way he plays as well. More when he's on those more standard picks. Just it sounds really silly to say, but the shape of the maps, it really, really helps XQQ. Just the way you move from the cover to the open ground, it's similar to what it is on night markets, but that's probably the only map of Lijiang Tower that has that same kind of similarity. And we really see XQQ shine in those sorts of spaces, on Village with the way most teams attack as they come out into the, if you will, main courtyard, out from the buildings. I don't know what exactly it is, but XQQ really thrives using that sort of cover. He actually knows really well when he can and can't go in, when he can dive into the enemy's deep positioning, and he suddenly really starts to shine. And that's a really significant thing. But DeToNator picking this, I feel, is them saying, we can handle that. We can deal with XQQ.
I think I like that out of DeToNator as well because I want both teams to be playing their best here, regardless of saying, look, who would a win be worth more to right now? I would say actually, as much as it would be worth a lot to SunSister for both teams, this is their last chance to show a level of dominance before they head into that relegation. So your final opportunity to actually prove you're worth something going to that relegation zone. And actually DeToNator, they still got to play Flash Wolves as well, which is going to be very important. So they want to have a good showing here to then take into that Flash Wolves game. And I think for SunSister, if you want to beat DeToNator, you want to beat DeToNator at DeToNator's best.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And the other thing as well is, no matter what happens here, both of these teams want to come back from relegations. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, but here we go now. Opening a skirmish. Let's see how they go out the gate. And yeah, XQQ on that Genji. Going to be playing his greatest
high ground
hits.
control.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I mean. Look at how well he's able to use this kind of space. He is totally safe. The team is playing around it. And they have all this ground control. DeToNator had to kind of dash for the point itself. And SunSister, they have everything in the pocket here to get aggressive on their terms.
Like, no one's actually gotten a kill yet, but actually SunSister have the vastly superior positioning, especially that Saihate is running a soldier. Where is Saihate meant to stand here? You want to be on the high ground as a soldier. You're not going to get it right now.
Yeah, and now watch the... Oh dear, Zetman goes in a little bit too deep. That is very unfortunate. They felt like they had an opportunity, and while it was all happening, Night Owl was a little bit tunneled on healing up XQQ, had ignored Odinkin getting low off to the side as well, and they completely get punished for that. That was a little bit unfortunate. They just slightly miscommitted, maybe went in a bit too early, exposed themselves to Sayhade, and there you go.
I think you're about right there, because of SunSister, they kind of pulled the trigger, and I kind of feel like they got a little bit trigger happy. The patience was just kind of gone there. They didn't pick their moments quite well. Zipman went in and got punished straight away, and suddenly it all started to fall apart for SunSister. They started out with the superior positioning, DeToNator walled them back into a corner, but DeToNator came out punching.
Now let's see how they can strike back. Mollis is actually just going to go straight for the point here. They're just going to try and force DeToNator's hand here, but again, Zetman gets punished on the dive. And this is often what ends up being the crux of a lot of SunSister's engages, is how safe Zetman is when he does opt to engage. And unfortunately, right now, he's not looking at his cleanest.
I actually think for SunSister right now, they are a little bit behind. Getting the tank visor out of the way is a really good start here, especially you now have some more defensive ultimates in play. It's okay to have lost that second fight. You don't want to lose too much progress, so they should be able to come in quick. XQQ on the Dragon Blade, that's going to be one of their win conditions they need to focus on.
And also they do have the ultimate for Zetman, which is going to help his survivability in those dives. Anakin nearly coming out the worst for wear in that 1 versus 1. It means that Mollis is actually the one set up here. Oh dear, no. XQQ
That's
though. Yeah.
unfortunate.
Can't deflect all directions at once, and yeah, down with the Dragon Blade as well. Again, just slight miscommit. As much as they have the high ground, they're not really able to commit to the low ground itself, because DeToNator, you know, DeToNator the floor, and the floor is lava.
I really feel like they should have paired the ultimates there. They kind of were waiting for the right moments again, and DeToNator found that moment first. That was an important fight for SunSister to take control of, because DeToNator were behind in ultimates. Now they're starting to catch up. By the time SunSister come back in now, actually DeToNator will be really a lot more prepared to fight them, especially that Transcendence now comes online. XQQ's going to struggle to get the kills.
They have the defensive ultimates.
Anakin
does go wide on the pulse bomb, and that is the opening, yeah. Going in indeed. What more can he find? Trying to get under the bubble there. Unfortunately, he has to put the blade away. Ooh, Sound Barrier saves him there. Gives him more time as he picks Toddle up as well with the Transcendence not available. Oh dear, Elu going down, but he did get the Sound Barrier off. They're out of ultimates now, aside from the self-destruct, but they're on the point, so that can now force some space for them. DeToNator are the ones kind of having to aggress onto this one. There you go, recall out of Anakin. It is the overtime, but they're struggling to close out these kills. Mollis finding Sayhade, that is a good
pulling
one.
ahead.
And this is indeed, yeah, pulling ahead. Anakin forced off. He might just get out with his life. No, he goes in for a quick, sneaky contest, pays for it with his life, and that will be SunSister starting to swing.
There we go. And they're swinging a little bit late, but they are swinging, and that's important. You might be in, what was it, the 10th round. Now got 2 more left to go. You can still knock that other team out. 99% for DeToNator. They got
like digging deep for that box.
They got a lot to work for. I mean, it could also just be McGregor versus Mayweather. Everyone runs away from each other. But in this kind of fight, someone has to pull the next fight. Someone has to swing the next fight.
Yeah, do not talk to me about Mayweather Pacquiao either. Well, here we go. There's the aggression coming in now. That's a good start for Odinkin, but he does get picked in the pilot form. Yoshiharu, though, is in a lot of trouble. At the very least, he's been forced out of the fight, but everyone's funneled into this building. Wakey, big mistakey as Sayhade cleans them all up. That was, like I said, rude awakening for SunSister. Getting very hard punished for that position, and honestly, Sayhade was so protected. Samurai D get to play gatekeeper, but it's not even necessary. DeToNator will get themselves one on the board.
It always seems to be a case where SunSister are not the ones to really be able to strike first. I mean, that's been a bit of a weakness now throughout the entire competition, and it still really, it still really shines through here.
It's had to be the SunSister
in a good kind of way. Yeah, something like that, right? Because really, for SunSister, you want to see them get the engages they want, and the one time you actually see them kind of make that initiation play, Zepman went in and got punished, and actually didn't know to swing things around. So for SunSister, they had one good fight in there, but it was a little bit too late at the 99% overtime mark, and then they couldn't hold it the next time DeToNator pulled back through, and they should have been able to. They had positional control there. They could have dictated the fight, but they couldn't. They just didn't.
Yeah, and I feel like what's happening, or indeed what's not happening, they're not leveraging the ground they are gaining. They are actually getting quite good positions, but they're not maximizing what they get off them. But holy
here we go.
heck, that's a good way to start it off.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. The right clicks onto Anakin, and he goes down. And now this is actually DeToNator in a bit of a troublesome situation. Oh dear, but once again, Zetman a little too far forward. This is where Odinkin really needs to be popping up the defense matrix to actually protect the Winston, not just to protect XQQ. They are still going to be able to go for the dive here anyway. Odinkin needs to be careful, though. He is on the verge of losing his mech, but there we go. They've managed to force the positioning, and another great catch out of Night Night Owl finds his
He's on a
counterpart.
roll.
He absolutely is. And so what happens? Orbs roll. Odinkin is going to lose the mech, but SunSister do still have the ground. They unfortunately lose XQQ, but they can still get a few more. Zetman has rejoined the fight, and he's keeping the rest of DeToNator still caught off to the side, so the rest of SunSister can clean up the members that were on the point, and that is how you maximize ground.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic start for SunSister as well, particularly off the back of a couple of kills from Night Owl. They're starting one onto Anakin. I mean, if you're SunSister, you're just thinking, well, we were going to wait for a little bit of an opportunity. Here it is, it's time to go, and they get the point.
Yeah, now let's see if they can maximize that same ground control. Are a little bit more entrenched now, and that should help them out. But once again, Zetman is just too deep. This Transcendence is coming in too late to save him.
Counter trans.
Yeah, that is very nicely timed. Mollis has already got the pick, but he goes down to his own pulse bomb, and now Night Owl going down. XQQ is to try and turn this one around. First person he spots is Anakin, who's just kiting him around, making him look absolutely foolish. Wild goose chase, and then Sayhadi comes in to clean up the scraps. That was poorly handled by XQQ.
I wanted to mention the XQQ Anakin duel as well, because that's a very interesting sort of matchup between the two players. But Anakin's going to stay onto the Tracer, and actually I kind of wish Anakin was the one playing the Genji for DeToNator, but they're not even going to go in that sort of direction. Turns out Anakin's going to just beat XQQ on the Tracer anyway.
Yeah, just kiting him around like that. And like I said, it looks silly. Great sticky now onto Zetman. They have to kind of pull back. These healers are working overtime. Now Odinkin, in trying to protect his teammates, is in a tight spot here. Sayhadi's opened out. They have got the kills through, though, because of that well-placed self-destruct is forced to the ground. Sayhadi forced back. Odinkin following up on that one. And once again, they are actually able to leverage the ground this time. They're starting to look a little bit cleaner from fight to fight.
They need to be pulling a little bit further ahead if they can. They're kind of lean for ultimates here, which gives DeToNator a lot of room to breathe. Zetman has been someone that's been dying quite early. I actually feel like the fight that SunSister lost most recently, which gave the cap away to DeToNator, that kind of could have been prevented because Night Owl had the Transcendence, couldn't save Zetman, and now they're in this position where they're not as ahead on progress as they should be.
And like I said, in these tight spaces, you actually have the opportunity of using the D.Va self-destruct, defense matrix rather, to protect your Winston if they're in a hairy spot while they are retreating. You can cover that retreat. But meanwhile, by the way, Mollis has just gone absolutely nuts. Picked up a catch against his counterpart, and then the sticky onto Dotolov means that this fight is already in favor of SunSister, and that's how you navigate a fight where you're lean for ultimates. Now they have the Dragon Blade, will have the Transcendence, looking a little bit better for wear.
That's the kind of fight I wanted to see out of SunSister on the Village as well, because no ultimates committed here for SunSister at all. In fact, Mollis gets the kill onto Sayhadi straight away, right at the top of the fight. No, sorry, not Sayhadi. He got a kill onto Anakin, who, by the way, now has swapped onto the Genji. He's going to challenge XQQ on the same hero now.
Well, that was the sound barrier early, and now the Transcendence out from Dodlov has been forced because he got low. Night Owl's one has run out, but XQQ can still maybe get something here. No, he's struggling to close it out. Does have to recommit to this point. No one's gone down just yet, and it's DeToNator with more mileage, more ults to use here. As Odinkin doesn't have a self-destruct, but Yoshiharu, he does. They've got a couple of kills through their way, but they need to close out just a few more. Yoshiharu now commits the self-destruct. SunSister had to back off for a moment. Oh dear, losing XQQ. Failed to back off while Samurai D has gone rampant on the point, but now he's been picked out. They're trying to close out into Mollis, but he gives them the slip. Zetman can rejoin this one, and they had to step off in that one. That is really nicely handled by SunSister, just constantly giving DeToNator nothing to target until they were forced to step off the point to find SunSister.
And actually there was someone still on there, but Night Owl got the final kill onto, I believe, Yoshiharu, got the mech and then got the pilot as well straight away, and because the overtime was at a certain amount of time ahead of the lamps, I mean, the ticker just instantly disappeared and DeToNator had no further chance to contest whatsoever. So, I mean, played by very tight margins there, and that was actually a very clean overall game by SunSister. A couple of holes still there that have been poked out, but here's something to take away. They forced Anakin off the Tracer, forced him onto the Genji, and actually forced Sayhadi off the Soldier and onto the Tracer. Now this is the DeToNator lineup that I actually think is their best lineup. I think it's weaker when they have to put Anakin on the Tracer. Anakin needs to be on something like Genji, or Anakin plays the Soldier itself.
Yeah, the other thing as well is, even in that final fight, as chaotic as it was seeming, I always felt like SunSister were actually quite in control of it. I mean, on the one hand, it is just DeToNator who has to attack onto them. Sure, naturally, they already have the set-up position, but they were the ones kind of running circles a little bit. Aside from XQQ going down to the self-destruct, which I think was just a slight mistiming, if nothing else, they felt very in command of that one. It was DeToNator playing to the beat of their drum. So if they can just keep tapping into that, they look better.
Absolutely, and just in case you're wondering, it does appear we may have a problem with Samurai D's computers. They're getting it fixed, and maybe we'll be underway shortly after.
It's like, there's something wrong with my
But,
screen. It says 1-to-1.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah, how did that happen? There must be is
Sorry,
that a typo?
excuse me.
Or, yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think Blizzard made a typo. Can we email Jeff?
Yeah,
That
you
would
got
be
to
great.
XQQ. He
By the
finishes,
way,
he
by the
finishes
way,
this
hold
game.
on.
Okay.
How come Night Owl has a different uniform to everyone else?
You know what?
Yeah.
He's had that since the start.
I can
of the
only
tournament.
assume that
he's
he
the captain.
he is the son and they're the sisters. That's the only assumption I can draw.
Well, I'd like him to sit in the middle then. So everyone can orbit around the sun. That's kind of how it works.
You can't sit
You
in the
did
middle of
space, you
6
did-
though. See, that's the only unfortunate thing is you can't quite cluster around the 6.
Well, I don't know.
There's
I
no
was
middle.
I was actually gonna I was trying
Unless
to remember
you're
what
two
I was
people.
trying to remember what I was going to mention. I don't know.
But it
forget.
wasn't as important as that quip about the uniforms.
Probably not. It may just be the last time we see the uniforms if SunSister want to get if SunSister don't make it out of their relegation. So far,
We'll at least get to see the uniforms in relegation.
which by the way, the top 4 teams will be streamed from us as well, so we are going to cover that. So we will find out which 2 teams from the relegations are going to actually make it into Season 2, which will be quite exciting. DeToNator.GOLD and SunSister could be in that match.
Yeah, they very well
They
could
may
be.
they may also not be. We'll have to find out.
You would, in a sense, expect that they would be just based off, the things we've already been talking about. The experience that they have gained in the last 11 weeks of play that the new teams coming into the promotion tournament won't have. They will have other experience, they will have other skill, and they can still be strong teams. Like, let's not forget that, because, before there was 11 weeks of play, there was week 1, and DeToNator and SunSister were struggling against these other teams. There could well be more teams out there that can take it to DeToNator and SunSister, but I do actually kind of expect to see them at least on the cusp of getting back in. Whether they do get back in, that is another story, but that is also another story for another day.
As we are definitely back into Nepal now, SunSister 1-1 with DeToNator.GOLD. This is looking a lot closer than previous series these 2 teams have had.
Yeah, very aggressive. And DeToNator back onto the long gun, short gun. SunSister sticking to their guns. No change-ups coming out of either of these teams
Shotgun
just yet.
and shurikens.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
'Cause why
I
not?
suppose. Shotgun and... spiky gun. But this is a great wraparound here by Modest to harass the backside. The whole team has to
Dodoloff.
cluster around Dodoloff to save him, but they don't make it work. XQQ does dive in. The only thing they lose for it is Odinkun's mech.
Oh,
but they're
nice
able
flank.
to wrap around, catch the retreat. This is great by XQQ. Like I said, it's this ducking and weaving in and out of cover, knowing when he can go in. Unfortunately, they're losing Mollis. Means they don't have that same ground control around the side. They did at least get the cap on the point, and the numbers are still relatively even, so DeToNator would be dangerous to commit to this fight. Catching Zetman, though, it helps them. But honestly, the rest of SunSister has regrouped on this. Anakin overstayed his welcome, and they just ran down their own clock there, DeToNator.
Actually, Anakin ended up being, I think, the only member alive, or at least one of 2
was like,
members
"Yeah, guys,
alive,
come on,
which is
guys."
a little bit of a problem. There was a little bit of a chance there that maybe Anakin turns it around. In fact, he was the only member that really was turning it around for DeToNator. He was picking up kills while SunSister were trading on the other side. And if it wasn't for Anakin, I think DeToNator would have just had a team wipe.
Yeah, but you're fishing for a hero play at that point, really. SunSister, again, with this much better ground control. Oh, Zetman in a bit of trouble. Anakin, real great target selection, but again, goes too deep, gets punished for it. And he, when you're looking for that hero play, you're not going to find it. You're going to get shut down because it's so telegraphed. Odinkun does get the mech popped, and XQQ is on the retreat. DeToNator had themselves a window, but again, here for the wraparound. He's already denied the health back, but he can't commit to the Dragon Blade. There he goes. Oh, they just able to get the wraparound on the other side of that building with Mollis, and between him and XQQ, the dream team dynamic duo sweep them all up, got them low enough for XQQ to go in for the finish. It doesn't matter that he dies there because DeToNator are getting routed. They're not going to be able to regroup. Plus, they force Samurai D's ultimate. DeToNator are going to try and book it for the point, but they're actually coming out scattered. These 2 members are leading the charge. The rest of the column is well behind, and SunSister are still entrenched.
And that was an excellent fight for SunSister. No ultimates committed, which means they can go now. Self-destruct comes down. Transcendence already used by DeToNator.
Totally
this
forced.
is now so many ults coming out.
This is exactly what I said at the end of the last one, right? Playing to the beat of SunSister's drum. Now XQQ has this ultimate, and Sayhadi gets nothing with this tactical visor. SunSister are in the driver's seat, and DeToNator want to get off XQQ's wild ride.
Please, Mr. XQQ, I don't know where we're going, but I do not like it. DeToNator.
Ooh, Samurai D gets out.
They're losing a lot of time here. We're almost onto the overtime 99%, which means
It's only
for
Samurai
DeToNator,
D.
you gotta go.
He was really the last member there. Oh, and the palm catching delay as well is huge. The pom bomb. Yeah, well, I mean, Tracer is a palm, but there we go. The last member there being picked off as well was Sayhade to try and get back to the point. Anakin as well tried to get a bit of a contest, but that was so cleanly done by SunSister. they made that night impossible for DeToNator to come back, and DeToNator still committed anyway when they really shouldn't have. Totally took the bait, and it was like SunSister and Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, ha, you triggered my trap. It was very intense to watch.
That is the most dominant SunSister have looked, I would like to say, this entire season, because at no point, SunSister have scraped through some wins, and I say scraped through because they had to fight tooth and nail for those map wins. They have 5 map wins, and they're looking like they want to make it 6 to 9. In fact, they want to make it a full 8, and they can get that one match victory that they've been waiting for this entire season. This is now the closest they've ever been, and they actually look like they can take
really
it. They
do.
actually look super close to doing that.
It was a clean 100-0. Now we're back onto Sanctum, which was the other map they won, where it went 1-1, where Anakin was confused by the score.
Anakin's not confused anymore. He's going to Genji. He's going to try and match XQQ blade for blade, shuriken to shuriken.
So we see them kind of going on, both of the Genjis having a bit of a poke fest on the side as Saihate and Mollis also trying to have a bit of a gentleman's duel, but it will be down to the main tanks and main divers. Anakin coming out the worst way for that, has to go into the retreat. This is a window now for SunSister, a window which they are looking to execute on. Look at Zetman's positioning. Samurai D is going to have to try and go in on this one, but he has to be careful to not go too far in on this one. Really trying to get down Zetman, but they have to flag out a retreat. Saihate, though, is on the point, is going to try and force SunSister's hand, has to retreat, though, and SunSister, they're happily steering through this one. They still have all the ground control.
Actually, no one's actually been killed yet. SunSister have a little bit of control, but actually, I'd like to say they're stuck up here. Now they're going to try and turn on the heat. Actually, may go for a commit here. Anakin might get caught out if he's unlucky.
Yeah, he tried to get the wraparound onto XQQ, sort of, saw red, got the dollar bills in his eyes, but dude, he went way too deep on the wrong side of this one. SunSister, they are able to squeak the point cap through. DeToNator do have a little bit of an advantageous position here just because SunSister are low, but it's not one where they can commit to the point. And now the Sound Barrier Dragon Blade combo is going to force DeToNator to use up everything they have just to try and get the point here where you'd think they would have an advantage. SunSister are going to try and regroup here anyway, and even if the point cap goes over, DeToNator are going to exhaust themselves, and SunSister can just come in for a counterattack.
And SunSister should actually try and stall this one, as Zetman is in the primal rage form, finally actually goes down. DeToNator cap it over, but I actually think SunSister, it's a decent lead so far, nothing to write home about, but they will be able to pressure that into something else. They just got to get past a couple of ultimates on the DeToNator side, already force out the Transcendence, get rid of the sound barrier, and suddenly we're in game.
And they have a Transcendence of their own available. They will be getting a self-destruct up to force a lot of positioning here. And if they can open this out with a pick, they are well poised. And already, look at this creative movement they've got here around the side. Oh dear, Mollis going down is a little unfortunate in that 1v1. And unfortunately, Anakin has to take a bit of a dive there. They are still getting pressure through here. Yeah, Samurai D getting taken down by Oniken. That's a great opening out. The self-destruct from Yoshiharu finds nothing. And SunSister, it is now their play to make the ballers in their end of the court as they route out the healers. Delave out of the picture now. Elu finds a sick boop. And that's going to be the dive out of Yoshiharu. He doesn't quite save himself back onto the point there. He kind of comes back up to enemy territory. Good amount of progress for DeToNator, but they got absolutely wiped in that fight.
I got no idea how Anakin died, but that was really important for SunSister. They had already lost a member. They evened it up, but that trade kill was worth so much more for them because Anakin already had a Dragon Blade. He would have wanted to commit that on the defense. He's not going to have that chance. He will now have to try again on a completely different fight where the control of the point is not in his hands.
All right, let's see how DeToNator react to this. SunSister were able to recap the point. They got a very nice angle of attack. DeToNator are going to try and wrap around the far side of this one as Saihate's onto the healers. He's looking for a stick. And they're going with the dive. That's a very nice catch onto Elu. Very well coordinated. They do use up their Transcendence though, and the trade back comes in from delay, but there we go. Saihate connects, Anakin goes big with the Dragon Blade, and they are going to be able to clean up this fight. But SunSister held their tools at least, so they should be able to counterattack once again, and probably in quite a timely fashion.
Wow, he did not get the kill on DeToNator. That's got to suck. He had to reload at the most awkward time and couldn't connect the last few shuriken shots. And the DeToNator just sort of wraps around the corner. Anakin doesn't want to chase. He gets out alive. DeToNator, they do flip the cap over from that last fight. The Dragon Blade did actually come into a very good effect, and that's a lot due to the fact that Night Owl had to use the Transcendence in a previous fight. Now SunSister's turn to actually get in here. They're the ones holding the big ultimates.
Yeah, they are turning tail to address Saihate as well, so this is good. They're not going to let themselves get completely pincered in by DeToNator, but it does use up some time. This is now the commit from XQQ. It's not really finding many targets trying to get onto the healers. There we go. Dodd loves the open. They're on the point. DeToNator have scattered on this one. This is very unfortunate. Anakin may be able to trade back here onto Night Owl, but that might not even be enough if the only other thing they're really finding right now is Oniken. They're struggling to close out anything further. Samurai D and Yoshiharu are both stalling with their ultimates, but Yoshiharu won't be able to get back in the mech. All they find is XQQ. Samurai D's ult runs out. Now Zetman's running wide with his, and Mollis has still got all the control over this. Sayhade is not getting any of that same work done. Can't really close out any kills. They finally get some trades through, and oh dear! Anakin is able to rejoin the fight with the Dragon Blade. This Transcendence is too late. Nidal only just got back on there. They never got the cap through, and this one might just end up going over to DeToNator. SunSister are too lean for members, and clutch plays at the last second by the DPS of DeToNator as they rejoin the fray.
Now it looks like we're going to map 5 onto Nepal. Unfortunately for SunSister, their ultimates just couldn't get enough value there. Yeah, Mollis got 1 kill with the Pulse Bomb. XQQ couldn't get anything with his. And you've really got to be able to match Anakin on his Genji. This is what Anakin wanted. He was going to come in and say, look, you want to play Genji? You look pretty flashy on the Shrine. Here's what mine looks like now to Sanctum. 2-2. And I think Anakin should stick onto this.
Yeah, and the thing that happened there is SunSister, they did come quite close, but they didn't quite shut down the DPS the way that they needed to. They were nearly there. They were very much nearly there.
It's going to be onto Village now, the final map in this full series, best of 5 onto Nepal already. This is what we started on. And actually, this was not a very comfortable stage for SunSister. Opportunity to turn that around though.
This is actually the one where I often feel like they do quite well, so we'll have to see, yeah, like you said, if they can turn it around.
Anakin stays on Genji as well, which I like.
Both Traces first out the gate, and it's Samurai D who goes to the dive. Zetman matches it, but look at the difference here in where the Divas are positioning, right? So Yoshiharu is trying to protect, Odenkun is trying to go aggressive, and it works out this time around. They pop the mech, they pop Yoshiharu, and they took up Samurai D too. Odenkun only just losing his mech, and even though XQQ died in that, the tanks were actually diving hard enough that DeToNator weren't really able to follow up on Samurai D's dive, and SunSister are going to get themselves set up on this point.
That's the difference. You lose a DPS, you do lose the damage output, but you lose a tank on the other side. Suddenly, that massive health pool that actually blocks the attackers from the other side to try and get in, that's gone and your entire backline is opened up. So it doesn't surprise me SunSister were able to get those kills where DeToNator couldn't.
Yeah, and that was very interestingly done because, I mean, one of the things that Odenkun has struggled with is actually protecting Zetman when he's in deep on those dives, but this time around, going aggressive himself really paid off.
Yeah, killing Samurai D was definitely the opener the SunSister needed. Now they're in a much better spot, especially compared to where they were the last time we were on Village.
Zetman had to go into full retreat, but DeToNator looking to sort of half follow up, miscommitted, left themselves open for XQQ to get a pick, and now Yoshiharu is forced onto the point and has now lost the mech. The healers are scattered. This is DeToNator getting absolutely split apart.
A nice team play, by the way, from XQQ and Mollis, being able to just catch out Donaloff and cut off any escape route from them. They're able to get a lot of these fights done without actually committing ultimate, which is a really big deal for SunSister. So that's actually where I feel like they vastly improve, and also where they're getting a lot of these real massive bursts of progress that DeToNator is struggling to keep up with.
And that's one thing I feel is happening with SunSister's dive compared to DeToNator's, is XQQ and Mollis are working together a lot more. They are cutting off retreat paths when one is going on the aggressive. It is a little awkward.
Every time he chases traces.
He got a much better start off it though. I mean, he took a healer out of the picture, so they were already happy with that. He didn't need to get more. And they were very lean with their ultimate usage.
Absolutely right. They only used 3 there, so they got 3 left to go. And the big deal here is actually they have the stall ultimates available. So we're at the 80% mark. Having the stall options means you're going to get to the overtime. You're going to get to the 99%.
Forced Transcendence out of Dodlov. That's massive. Samurai D only just gets the ultimate out, and they force ground as well with the self-destruct. That's the good pick to start it off, and they start to get the route as the Transcendence expires. Zetman has the ult. Samurai D is using his too, but his is a stall. Now Yoshiharu commits his ultimate as a last ditch. It's just Anakin. Sayhade died at the top of it. He won't be able to contest. Good shutout for SunSister to get a map win. And this is a good-looking team.
That is their first map win since the first round robin. That is their first map win that they've had for so long. I mean, they got 5 maps in the competition. Bam, make that 6 now. They're starting to get them on the board. And if you want that 3-0 and you XQQ, and this was a brilliant play, by the way, so well committed. I actually said maybe he plays a Dragon Blade here. Actually, he got all the kills without using Dragon Blade, which is even far more economical.
And I mentioned it during the cast as well, because what was going on there is exactly what I just talked about, was that the team play, the coordination between the 2 DPSs there, XQQ and Mollis, right? XQQ was sitting in the back, and I was like, man, there's a lot of very healthy members. This is dangerous to dive into. But he knew where Mollis was. He knew that Mollis was putting out damage. He didn't have to wait and see the window and then commit. He was able to commit knowing that the window was going to be created for him by the time the dash connected with someone. And it did. And from there, it was like it was all planned. And it actually was all planned. And that's not something we're actually getting out of Amikin and Saihade. They're both good players in their own right. And sometimes one goes off, and sometimes the other goes off, and sometimes they both go off. But it's got nothing to do with one another. Whereas XQQ and Mollis, they're like this dream team. They're like twins, like symbiotes.
And I think a big difference there is actually you look at the way the roles have been on both of the sides. XQQ has always been the Soldier Genji player. Mollis has traditionally just been that Tracer player. Sometimes he flexes onto the Genji when XQQ wants to go onto something like if you want to play Soldier Genji, then of course XQQ plays a Soldier, and then Mollis has to pick up the Genji. Or rather, you know, maybe Odin can pick up the Soldier. Either way, it's kind of in there. But XQQ has a set role. Mollis has a set role. Then you look at the DeToNator side. Both players could bring out something. Amikin, he plays a Genji, but then sometimes he's on the Tracer, and then Saihate's on the Tracer, and I'm kind of looking that like I'm not actually feeling Amikin on the Tracer. I feel like Amikin's a better Genji Soldier player, and they need to put Saihate back on Tracer. And
it always feels with DeToNator like you would rather have Amikin on both of those DPSs. So like, it almost feels like whatever Saihade is playing, he's playing it because you can't have Amikin play two different heroes, you know? Amikin has to play one thing, so I guess we'll put Saihade on the other one that we want for this team comp. It doesn't feel ideal. It's not like what's happening with XQQ and Mollis, where it's like these two strengths complement one another, and when we need to do this, Mollis has this that he can use instead. It's not like, man, I just wish we had a second XQQ.
It's like, you know, Mollis is just the best Tracer on the team, and you know XQQ is the best Genji on the team, so the choices are clear. I mean, XQQ is also the best Soldier on the team, I guess. I mean, he definitely is from what I can tell, so there it is. The roles are just very clear on the team.
And like you said, when he is on Soldier, Mollis's Genji is adequate enough that they can run it if they want to. They don't even need to run that though. Like, they're very happy just running Soldier Tracer instead. And yeah, like DeToNator just don't have that same kind of interplay. I mean, both in the gameplay and then, like you're saying here, in the hero pools between their two DPSs. And now it's really starting to show. Now that SunSister are cleaning up a bit of their play with dive, a bit of how the tanks commit and where and when, they are starting to look a bit like the better of these two teams. Certainly there on Nepal they did, because it did go to a full 5. They lost the first one. They looked very shaky. It didn't look clean at all. That was the only time we saw that. The remaining 4 was 3 good, strong wins, 2 of which were shutouts, and the loss was a close loss.
Absolutely, and so for SunSister now, if we XQQ and you teased the 3-0, you got that first win down. 2 more to go to get that 3-0.
Got to deliver.
I don't think it's going to be as easy as that. I'm expecting it to go the distance here. 3-2, I would not expect. 3-2 to which side? Don't know yet, because SunSister also had a really great run, I believe, against Fireball, where they were 2 maps up and then Fireball reverse swept them. So that's where 4 of those map wins for SunSister have come from previously. 2 from DeToNator, now 3, and 2 from Fireball.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, if this is one of those series that goes to 3-0 from here now for SunSister, I guarantee it's going to be one of those series where we say, and that 3-0 doesn't tell the whole story. And we already have that having happened on Nepal, because that 1-0 doesn't tell the whole story. It went to a full 5.
Get into a couple of replays here as well. This is going to be from the second Sanctum game, right at the end for SunSister, the final moments where I believe someone got off the point here.
Yeah, and this is the one I was talking about, where like DeToNator were just constantly having to chase around these members of SunSister. Look at this now, how they had to try and commit. It's like, do we go into the building on the side? Do we commit to this high ground? And SunSister are just constantly running circles around them. XQQ, this is the only place he went down to the self-destruct because he couldn't really get back on, but he was the only member. The rest scattered nicely. And now look at this. They're busy chasing members all left, right, and center. The last member disappears from the point, and they're like, oh, whoops, they were so busy tunneling on these members of SunSister that were constantly giving them the slip. They didn't play for the actual objective.
Yeah, by the time they went there, you actually see Delay just trying to skate its way in,
God.
right it in, and it's like one of those, it's like a baseball moment where you see the ball flying over your head and you're just trying to dive for the mat, but just couldn't quite get there. You couldn't quite get there. I'd dive for mat, but there you go.
Hey, thank you.
I've got to have that one for free. So, but that's one of them. That's just one of those moments where you do feel like DeToNator kind of messed up a little bit there. Both teams did make mistakes. SunSister at the end of the day, what they did most impressively was the fact that they won a number of fights without committing any ultimates. We're actually going to get into another replay now as well.
This is actually one such fight, because this is the very opening fight Of
This is the
Shrine,
third-
yeah.
this is the third one.
So here now we start to see this setup that I talk about. So after this, XQQ starts to move around to the other side. You see him slip through the building here. Now watch, DeToNator are forced by the tanks back into this room. Mollis has started to do the chip damage and XQQ was able to kind of burst through from the other side. DeToNator, they struck back a little bit, but they don't have a good position. SunSister is set up here. DeToNator attack it from two sides, one going up the stairs, while Anakin tries to go up the main sort of middle stairs, and they're just scattered, they're just disconnected, and SunSister, they have all the space control. XQQ is still in behind them for a good chunk of it, still dishing out damage before he goes down, and by the time DeToNator arrive, they have less numbers, they have less health, and they're not even together.
And just for clarity as well, that replay that we saw was not the same Shrine game as the play of the game from XQQ with that Genji play. That was the first Shrine game where the starting was that both teams were getting even trades, and then eventually Anakin at the end committed the pulse bomb, and he was the last member that he used it, died, and then SunSister still held on to the cap. So that's kind of the small mistakes we're talking about as well. A lot of little errors by DeToNator throughout the entire series. Those kind of add up eventually and do give SunSister the win.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And yeah, I think, so this next fight, this is great. This is where the play of the game did happen. I don't know if we're going to get that far through this, but I talked about this. You saw it in the way the dive is happening. Look at where Yoshiharu is positioned. He's trying to protect Samurai D, but they're not on the same page. So then he goes and tries to protect Delave, who's in too deep. But at this point, Zetman's already dead. Suddenly Yoshiharu is too deep. Sure, Delave retreats, but meanwhile, Odenkun and Zetman have been going aggressive. They've been actually getting onto these backliners. That's why Delave had to go forward, because he had no one protecting him in the backline. He had to avoid Zetman somehow. And it just messed DeToNator up altogether. They tried to react to what SunSister were doing while also playing to their own dive, and they didn't do both properly. Whereas SunSister went, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to dive, committed to it, and because they were cleaner in that, it worked. It's the saying, I hate to say this, it's the saying, don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. That's what SunSister did.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think something I've noticed out of SunSister is convincingly on particularly a village, their opening fight has looked better than DeToNator's opening fight. Now, the first village we went to, actually DeToNator got the better of SunSister, and that is because SunSister failed to pull the trigger at the right time. Now, we're going to go to map 2, has been revealed. SunSister's pick now. They've already won map 1. Now they're going to play the map, which is their pick, and it's going to be Numbani, which is an interesting one because DeToNator are also a team that likes to go to Numbani.
Yeah, both of these teams, you're completely right. And they both play it very similarly as well. In the past, this is a map where I felt SunSister, they make slip-ups on the defense. I feel sometimes they continue committing when they shouldn't, and then other times they don't commit when they should. But I've also had similar criticisms of them on control, and I feel like those criticisms are no longer valid for control. I would like to say as well that they're now no longer valid for Numbani, but I suppose we're going to find out.
Absolutely, and maybe throughout the night, if they can pick up the win, won't be valid on Assault either, which will be a big deal. And suddenly, SunSister look like a force to be reckoned with come relegation time. If you're a team looking to underestimate them, suddenly you're not going to be able to do that. So Numbani is going to be a decent test because control is one thing, and I think for a team like SunSister, where they do have a decent DPS duos like Mollis and XQQ working together with cohesion. You have a lot of power plays coming up from XQQs. This is someone who I describe as a peak and troughs player where he does peak quite highly. He also has quite low moments, but when he hits the high moments, he's really going off, and that's kind of what we saw on a number of moments on control. Can he keep that consistency now for a hybrid map? SunSister do have to adjust their playstyle for this.
Yeah, and certainly you do hope so, right? The other thing as well, coming into this, is you have to remember, SunSister did come into this off a loss. They came into this off a bit of an unfortunate loss. So the first bit of this here is just kind of, shifting the mentality around, right? It's getting back on the horse, as it were, and that is a little bit why I think that very first map of Nepal, they looked a little bit shaky, like they weren't confident, they weren't committing, and I would say they've got their confidence back because immediately after that they played with confidence and it worked. They won. And assuming they keep that same confidence, I think that has just kind of made them the better of these two teams here. And actually now, it's DeToNator who have the lesser mentality. It's DeToNator who have to sort of turn this one around because they've picked up this map loss here. They are the ones now who have to turn the series back in their favor.
And actually for SunSister as well, while they did cop a loss in that previous match, they are also warmed up, a full 3 maps warmed up against a very good team in the OPC as well. And actually something else to take away from that previous match was the good result on Kings Row. They didn't win the map, but they got a very good result that was unexpected on that map, which was taking Hong Kong Attitude to the time bank. So now going into a hybrid again, hybrid was arguably the best game mode for SunSister in that Hong Kong Attitude series. Can they actually then translate this into another map win against DeToNator.GOLD on hybrid?
Yeah, Numbani a little bit of a different beast to attack, but it is their pick, so you would assume that they feel that they can confidently attack this one. Let's see how it works out. I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and take that defense first.
Yeah, most teams usually do, and this will be a map where I believe XQQ will be playing mostly Soldier on. We'll definitely be testing him. He's playing more Soldier than Genji recently anyway, but much like Anakin, he's one of those players where you feel like they really shine on the Genji, and not because they're consistent on the Genji, but when they peak really hard on the Genji, and they don't do that on any other pick.
So, this is an interesting turret placement, because often these teams put down, I call it the spotter turret, which is where you assume the other team is going to play a Pharah and you want to know about it in advance. This to me says that they aren't expecting a Pharah at all, and I feel that they've made an adequate prediction here because no Pharah from Anakin.
Yeah, this just allows you to feed less turret, with turret damage, ult charge onto the other team, and this is a specific turret placement on the top of the balcony where you're looking for Zepman to protect that. That's why the Winston's already there with the bubble. And expect Odenkirk to be sitting there with Matrix as well. They're looking to severely protect this turret as much as they can.
And this is the path that a Genji takes, as opposed to the path Pharah takes, where they sort of wrap more around the outside. So now that the dive is being forced in to get onto the turret, this is where their protection comes to a head. Great bump, yeah, onto XQQ. Opens up the ability to get the turret. Now, an XQQ on this low ground is having a bit of a hard time of this. Good follow-up by Saihade to try and force XQQ out, but doesn't quite work. Hook getting Anakin means suddenly Saihade isn't really on the point. The DPS isn't really here. That's really big, actually. They catch Elu. That's a good one for them. The only trade back is delayed. The respawn walkback is a little shorter for SunSister, and they are just barely kind of keeping members alive here, but they are struggling as the tanks are split off now from Night Owl. The healing can't come back. Yeah, good trade backs, and XQQ's return means suddenly DeToNator piling into this room do get a little bit punished for it. They did cap a third in through that, though.
That was a good actual attack from DeToNator, because what they did was they were focusing the turret, and when you're focusing the turret, you're not able to get XQQ as well on the side, so instead Yoshiharu bumps XQQ off. That eliminates that other side of the pressure immediately, allowing you to get the turret, and then you can focus XQQ down straight after that.
XQQ spent all of that fight not involved until the very end after he'd even respawned. So now let's see how the second push goes for DeToNator, because getting that third is actually quite good. They can just play this first point for thirds if they need.
Another turret's on the ground, so they've had to change up positioning. Elu's not able to get back in position quickly enough. He's had to respawn, he's had to replace his turret, and actually the ground position is just fine as well. It does mean they have the potential of losing the high ground control. They have to be careful that they have ultimates all over though.
Ooh, good protection out of Odenkirk, but Yoshiharu rather, but they're going very deep. Anakin opens up with this Dragon Blade. This is one of the few resources they have, caught out by the self-destruct. Good way to shut that one out. Now, Mollis committing the whole hog as well, keeps Delave on lockdown and picks Saihade as well. Good stuff by them, and they are going to be able to hold there. And that really was just sheer force of ultimate advantage, but DeToNator used up the few they had.
2 minutes 20 gone is on SunSister more economical at the end of the day. This is something they've been doing better and throughout the entire evening, I would even go as far as to say, because right now they have a Nano Visor to commit. If all else fails, Zepman will go Primal Rage. He will stall at the point, get that nice respawn advantage that you do get as a defender on the Numbani first cap, and SunSister still can commit. Meanwhile, time is actually running out for DeToNator with only 1 minute and 15 seconds left.
Yeah, they committed themselves a nano boost there as well, and now they have a tactical visor. So that's what they're going to go into this with, and that's really the only resource they've got. They're setting up now for a position around the side. XQQ, quick commit, nano boost there, and that is because Zepman was slept. He commits the ultimate there, the Primal Rage. I don't know if that was necessary. A good chunk of that does get blocked up by Yoshiharu, but while he's there, the rest of his team is exposed to Mollis and Zepman, who are just running rampant on the back line. Don Love is forced to take a dive because he knows he is done for in this one. Anakin will turn tail and run, may be able to get out with his life, but I don't think so. I mean, Zepman can just keep following up. There we go. They're able to close out on him. Actually, the turret closes off Yoshiharu in the pilot form as well. And SunSister to keep that one locked down.
I do agree with you on Zepman's Primal Rage. I wonder if it's because he actually got caught out. Maybe he was fearing for his life and he didn't want to die, which is important as well. You're actually right. He was slipped, so he was valuing his life there and he had to pop the Primal Rage. That's important because SunSister are going to play for the overtime here and DeToNator will be fighting in that overtime as well. So for Zepman, the Primal Rage here is going to be incredibly important. Saihate, though, one tactical visor could decide this.
Oh, dear.
Or not.
Never mind. I was going to say I expect a quick commit, but Mollis expected it too. He will use this whole hog as well to scatter this team as they try and commit. Sure, Amiken tried to get a little bit in there, but his team was getting destroyed while that was happening. It is just Amiken. The ults run out, and all he's popped is Odinkin's mech. Good job, boy, and not going to get anything more from that. They do get a bit more than a third because of the technical maximum. It's 50.8%. This is so achievable for SunSister.
That last fight defense was actually really well played by SunSister. They had
Mollis so hard.
They had Mollis waiting in that sort of corridor area with the whole hog ready to go. They predicted, or rather they reacted to well, and also I would say predicted, that DeToNator were going to try and go for the big flank play around the back. And Mollis was already there. As soon as DeToNator went in, here's a whole hog. Saihate picked out right away as well by the hook. So I mean, it's almost like Mollis, this one guy with amazing plays right at the end of the day, completely shut down DeToNator, extremely well committed.
And I would say furthermore, they predicted and DeToNator didn't react. They didn't change up what they were doing. The moment Saihate got picked, they actually had an opportunity to just hit the brakes for a brief moment, readjust where they were standing, didn't even need to move all that much, readjust a little bit of where they're standing, who was in front, who was behind, and then kill Mollis. You could have put the D.Va in front, absorbed the chunk of the whole hog. You could have killed Mollis. It was one guy against 6.
They did kill Mollis eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But what they did instead is they went, oh, we lost Saihate, we've got to go now. Amiken goes in with the Dragon Blade. Mollis backs up. The tanks are scattered. The Winston's in front. The D.Va isn't blocking anything. The whole hog connects on all the backliners, and suddenly you get torn to shreds by one Roadhog.
One Roadhog and a couple of friends there. You had a couple of members on the back line as well for SunSister.
Yeah, they wrapped around.
It was a team effort at the end of the day, and a well-placed trap against DeToNator because it forced them into this tight corridor, and then suddenly SunSister had all the room to play with. And look, if Mollis was essentially ended up being the bait there, he opened up with the hook, got the kill on the Saihate, and then he said, "Come get me," and they did. But they also died.
Yeah. Well, here we go.
This is the same exact same defense.
Or not quite actually. Tracer instead of Genji.
Yeah, so that is a bit of a difference.
Only difference, and interestingly, it was actually for a while on that first attack, it was actually Saihate on.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure Mollis was on. Tracer was on Mollis was on the Tracer on their defense.
No, what I'm saying is on the attack, Amiken was on Genji the whole time, and to start with Saihate was on the Tracer before he swapped over to the Soldier. So this is now completely different even so, like DeToNator running a different Tracer altogether because they need that Soldier. Good attack onto XQQ, but they're a little too deep. Samurai D gets picked out. There, look at this, and this was just great positioning out of Odinkin. Keeps the team protected on lockdown. Yeah, the tanks are completely destroyed. Way too aggressive on the dive here. Now all they've got to do is deal with this turret. There aren't any tanks to protect it. They have the space to do it. Yeah, there's the turret down. Now Delave nowhere near the Molten Core. They're just absolutely destroying them. Delave himself goes down. They do need to get to the point quickly though, because the tanks will respawn and will come in for a contest. But they're holding the ground nicely. They've taken the high ground. They should be able to keep their DPS alive here with this dive in from Samurai D. Now Yoshiharu comes in scattered, and look, this is already over. It's just Yoshiharu with the pilot form. Maybe Amiken can blink on, get a brief contest. No such luck. Quick sticks for SunSister 2-0 up, looking like a team of brand new men.
Absolutely the most dominant SunSister have ever been. Look, now we said they looked good in Nepal. That was a 3-2. If this was Nepal again, this looks like a 3-0 because that Numbani defense was nigh impenetrable for DeToNator and well counted by, here we go. He's saying it, we only got
now
one more left to go. Now I feel
it's justified.
Got one more left to go.
Yeah, and not only did they read DeToNator's final attack when they were on the defense, when they were then on the attack, they totally read what DeToNator were going to try and do to counter it. They tried to go for this counter dive, and SunSister, they knew what was going to come, and they reacted to it perfectly. You saw where Yoshiharu was set up. He knew he didn't actually need to sit back to protect XQQ. The rest of the team could do that fine. So XQQ was still running rampant, dealing damage. Yoshiharu, he can't put the defense matrix in two directions. That goes without saying. So you've got Odinkin on the outside there on the balcony. He's blocking up damage from the turret. He's also able to turn around and get shots into the back of Yoshiharu. And suddenly DeToNator, their two tanks find themselves totally cut off by Odinkin's positioning. taking a whole ton of damage from Odinkin and XQQ on the soldier, and then they die. No shock there.
And actually, you're right. They overcommit there, and actually at the same time, because they lost the line of sight with Dololov on the side of the Ana, I mean that's a big problem as well. You're not receiving that bonus scaling, and Night Owl living was a big deal because with Night Owl continuing to be alive, as soon as the respawning tanks came back in, what normally would happen is those tanks could stall out for a decent amount of time while the rest of the members come back as well. But what actually happened was the Discord orbs came on, and Samurai D melted, Yoshiharu melted straight after that, and no one else could actually even reach the point. And XQQ, he just sends out an emote because he knows it's over.
And then killed the healers just as the tanks were arriving as well. So there wasn't going to be any healing to even just stall those tanks' lives out a little bit longer for DPS to re-arrive. And they weren't even getting trade kills. I mean, it was just well positioned by SunSister once they had the window. They set themselves up perfectly. They dove at the right times. The DPS was patient. They didn't just dive straight onto the point. They pulled back for a moment while their tanks went forward, took the high ground. Then they set themselves up on the point once the turret was gone, once the healers were out of the picture. And that was why the tanks dived in onto what would normally be squishy DPS that's easy to kill and got absolutely destroyed.
And actually, they played it, it's interesting because SunSister played their offense a lot differently to the way DeToNator played. If you look at how DeToNator played, and mind you, the defense was the same from both teams. They ran the same composition and the same style of defense with the turret on that upper balcony, protecting it with the shield, protecting it with the matrix as well. So SunSister said, we're not even going to go for that. We're going to go onto our own high ground on the opposite side. And actually, if you're DeToNator, you can just sort of chill out that you have the turret for additional damage. Just play the long range game. SunSister have to be the ones to commit something. They have to make the move because you're defending and they got to cap the point and you don't have to do much at all. So actually by their tanks, Samurai D is starting to catch things like that, running away from the turret. That's fine, you can do it, but you got caught out, you got killed when you didn't have to. You didn't even have to make that play.
Yeah, it was aggressive and it just wasn't executed right. Look, had it been executed right, yeah, maybe it would have paid off and it would have looked good. But even then, it's risky for that to be your plan for presumably every single defense because you also only had, you had to hold up to 50% of the point. That's a very, very low threshold. You don't get to full hold out. If they do get themselves set up on the point, you don't get an opportunity to regroup, and come in and recontest. So by going for those, I suppose, counter dive style defenses, knowing that you risk breaking line of sight, knowing that you risk losing a tank and just falling to bits just because of that one thing, I feel like there's a smarter way to play that defense in the first instance. And even then, SunSister just reacted to it perfectly well anyway.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the smarter way to play it would have been to consider that you don't have to immediately dive onto them with both your tanks. You have a turret. That's something the other team doesn't have at bonus DPS. And let's take a look at the replay, which is...
This is from the other perspective of it now here. So this is SunSister on their defense. And this is the first commit. You see how they go onto the turret? The bubble fell short. That was significant. But getting the bump on XQQ was great as well. Because right now, XQQ is forced on the backside. You see there, Saihari goes after him. Yeah, they do get Night Owl, but Saihari goes after XQQ. It doesn't mean he's out of the fight, but Saihari is as well, and because they got the trade kill onto Anakin, there's now no DPS on the point, and there are still healers around here. Elu finally goes down, but now Night Owl was respawned. He actually had sightlines again, and XQQ was able to rejoin. This was where they cleaned up, because what happened after that was DeToNator had kind of run a circle around, tried to route out SunSister, and then XQQ came in the backside of them because suddenly Saihari wasn't putting the pressure down on him anymore.
And so this is what I'm talking about, the differences as well in terms of attack. So SunSister went up the left side, up the hotel, up the stairs, and tried to take the opposite balcony. When you look at the way DeToNator attacked, they went directly for the turret. They went directly for the balcony high ground that SunSister were trying to hold. They actually played it quite well because they managed to bump XQQ down, kill Night Owl, and force XQQ out completely from the fight, even kill him and then deal with the turret afterwards. It's when they fail to collect the rest of the members there. XQQ eventually respawns and then cleans up DeToNator. So two very different approaches to the exact same defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, on the whole, I honestly just feel like SunSister were the cleaner of the two. In every instance, in every sense of the word. Even on that first, the replay we just saw, much like what we saw previously on Nepal, they were running circles around DeToNator. Like, DeToNator weren't really playing to the objective, they were playing for kills, and SunSister just like kited them constantly, just this endless disengage.
All right, so now this is going to be
the exact reverse.
You're right, the exact reverse. So DeToNator's turn to defend this time around, and you actually see this is where the tanks go in and wrap around from place.
Yeah.
That's how they got caught out, because actually the tanks from SunSister actually came down from the back, from the underneath, then wrapped around on top. They cleaned up both the tanks here, and now it's just about getting the turret down, getting the supports down. Turret should be the first target here, and I believe they get the turret twice before they then clean up the supports. XQQ had superior positioning, and by the time the tanks came back, it was far too late. Night Owl's still alive, Discord's still available, no chance for DeToNator to actually get back in.
Yeah, and now this was the spot where like I said, they committed to this high ground to clean out the healers, and you see Dodlov goes down just before Samurai D does, and even then he didn't have sightlines for a good while before that. And the other thing there, because they wrapped around the side, was what I was talking about with that defense matrix, is Odinkin was able to protect the other members that were jumping up with him from that turret. That's normally where the turret would have sightlines. That's normally why that wraparound struggles, but he balanced it perfectly between getting to the location and blocking the turret at the right time. The bubble went down in a good spot as well. On the whole, it was just cleanly executed, cleanly reacted to, and cleanly read.
This is now a really good thing SunSister do consistently, which is they're able to trap members into poor positioning. So you notice, we remember the Nepal play where XQQ's on the back line, Mollis comes around the front, and that's where he got the play of the game, just dash, resets, and Mollis cut down the escape as well. We saw that in other parts of the map as well. You see it when XQQ's chasing Dodlov, and suddenly he doesn't get the kill, but Mollis is on the other side, cuts off the escape path and gets the kill. Anyway, now when you look at, if you just sort of remind yourself of that last replay, SunSister, they push up the stairs, the tanks actually push up the bottom, and then as soon as the DeToNator tanks go into dive, the SunSister tanks then fly up, cut this escape route off, and suddenly both of those tanks, they're caught.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Honestly, right now...
And I thought Yoshiharu was the fisherman.
yeah. Honestly, I don't know how many times I can say it. Right now, here, today, SunSister are the better of these two teams so far. Yeah, look, maybe DeToNator can turn it around, because SunSister did also come into this, not hot, but at least warmed up. And the reason I say not hot is because they did take a loss, but the warm-up still counts for something, sure. DeToNator still have every opportunity to turn this back around. They have Assault left, but with the way SunSister have been playing these attacks, I wouldn't be surprised if they just take it out cleanly.
All right, well, we're going to come back soon and check out exactly what's going on with Assault. That's going to be the third and potentially final map. According to XQQ, he rates it's going to be a 3-0. We're going to find out. That's all happening right after this break. Welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship. We're about to get into map number 3 of SunSister versus DeToNator.GOLD. It's going to be Assault. It's going to be DeToNator's pick, which is important because they may be losing here if they're not going to get the right map.
And, oh man, this is a tricky one, because you like all the maps SunSister likes when it comes to this, I feel. This is going to be tricky, man. Maybe they just go to Hanamura. Why not?
Sounds like a great friendship or relationship. You just like everything I like.
Yeah, wow, we're just match made in heaven. I can't tripping over all my words here. Match made in heaven.
And we're both Japanese. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Wow. We go to Hanamura.
Let's both go to Hanamura.
Let's have our honeymoon there.
Just
it turns out
teams.
These two teams are the Shimada brothers.
Yeah.
Just as a whole. Yeah. Well, actually, funnily enough, we do see DeToNator pulling out strats where they run Hanzo, and they're like the only team that does that.
SunSister do as well. I've seen XQQ play Hanzo.
You're right. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They have done that a ton.
XQQ and Anakin have the exact same hero.
DeToNator commit to it.
Yeah. Do they cash it?
They get Hanzo tattooed on their knuckles. I don't know. I wouldn't quite say that XQQ is the same hero pool as Anakin. It's like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, right? Because like Anakin's hero pool fits inside XQQ's, but XQQ's has got way more on top of that. You know?
But I'm speaking now, like right now.
Oh yeah.
They have the same hero pool, except Anakin does play the Tracer, which I'm still saying is a little bit of a weird spot for DeToNator.GOLD, because they don't have that their default Tracer player, which they've kind of just stuck Anakin in there, and he's a good player, but you don't want to have your best Genji player or your best soldier player playing the Tracer when the other player isn't going to be able to really, I would say, pull the weight on the other hero.
And they're basically going like, would we rather have to put Anakin on the Tracer, or would we rather have to put Saihade on the Tracer? And it's never an easy decision, but here we go. DeToNator gonna go ahead and pick Volskaya, and I feel like this is the one map where they are maybe slightly more favored because of the Sombra. In recent history, they have played it more cleanly than SunSister have. And this is one of the maps where we see, you know, a good amount of Sombra, but...
Hey, they're looking to repeat their victory against AHQ now against SunSister on this map, so it's doable. This is a scary map because I think if you're SunSister and you've done your research, you would have expected Hanamura like we kind of expect Hanamura because that has been the most common map.
They've gone for it a lot.
The most
Them
common
and SunSister
map
both.
for exactly the most common map for both teams, but also for DeToNator Gold. Whereas Volskaya just hasn't been a map that's realistically been in SunSister's pool, at least to my memory, and
even after,
in any significant way, that is.
Yeah, exactly, and that's even after getting that win against AHQ. Like they went, all right, we beat them on Volskaya, but let's not make Volskaya our map. Let's keep doing Hanamura. And I think the interesting thing that's happened with that is, I feel like they've almost kept this in the back pocket. They're like, you know what, we beat AHQ here, we're comfortable on it no matter what. We don't have to go here all the time. Let's just go to Hanamura as well, pull this one out when we kind of need it. And in a situation where, you know, the other team likes Hanamura just as much as you do, falling back onto Volskaya here where you did get that significant win is quite a valid thing to do. And you know, if we can all join me now as we cast our minds back to the series against AHQ where they did take out that map win on Volskaya, they were just the cleaner of the two. Their offense looked better, their defense looked better. They played better than AHQ on that map. There was nothing special about it. There was no oddball team comp that threw AHQ for a loop. It was just a cleaner, more well-executed game.
So this is going to definitely be a lot tougher. I think Hybrid was probably SunSister's best predicted, I guess, result based off what we saw against their result against Hong Kong Attitude. Control could have gone either way, and it literally almost did go either way. 3-2, still a really close scoreline, despite, you know, how much control SunSister actually had. DeToNator definitely took it to them and definitely made them work for it. Now, when we get to Assault, suddenly I think maybe the tables turn a little bit, or at least at a minimum, we're neutral ground.
Yeah, and I think that's completely fair as well. Because the other thing is, so far SunSister have looked like the cleaner team tonight. So everything I say there about DeToNator being the cleaner team when they played AHQ on this map, that is still true. They still carry that into this, but SunSister carried tonight into this. So I agree with your sort of observation there about this kind of being an even playing field. It's a kind of neutral territory for these two teams.
Exactly. We're not in Japan. We're in Russia, and for both teams, it's no man's land.
They had a war once. Russia and Japan went to war. Yeah.
How long ago was that?
It was just before the First World War. Just before the First World War. And here's the thing: Russia lost. That was not a good thing to carry into World War I, eh?
Probably not. And now it's two Japanese teams playing Volskaya, conquered land. You might even be able to say here.
Conquered land. I don't know. See, this is in like the middle of Siberia, so it's like this is like.
I actually have no idea what Volskaya is. Is it in Siberia?
I think it's meant to be sort of like quite in the interior, or maybe close to the Urals. That's where a lot of Russia's industrialized areas are. Sort of around the Ural Mountains, some more northern areas as well. A lot of mining operations there. It would make sense to have you know, a significant manufacturing plant in very unconquerable territory if you're potentially facing Omnics. So they are an internal threat rather than an external one. Russia's geography is very fascinating.
Very well put. That's definitely how you would want to take on an Omnic
Well, the entire
invasion,
reason they expanded into Siberia is like, who's going to invade through the entirety of Siberia? Like, you just can't.
All right, so this is something we haven't seen in a while now. XQQ onto the Widowmaker. Bam, you're gone. You're gone. That's embarrassing. That's
well, it's because
and not the geography part too.
She was too cold.
That's a really tough thing.
What happened? She forgot her sweater in base.
And now Saihate knows. He's like, I'm actually going to check in. In fact, we saw the same strategy from SunSister on a previous match. I can't remember who it was against, but they did this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Where they wrapped around with XQQ, and they managed to kill. I can't even remember which Sombra they got, but they got him.
They got the Sombra, yeah.
Just trust me, they got him.
And they're trying to do the same now with XQQ actually on this McCree. It's about flashbanging the Sombra, just taking her out of the picture. They do lose a little bit of time because he had to swap off the Widowmaker, but it's not the end of the world here. Maybe they just have to absorb one EMP before they can go ahead on this one. But they do still have to get in this. This is quite interesting. DeToNator are looking to defend this ground specifically, rather than kind of defend opposite ground.
Well, DeToNator are trying to buy time here. With every passing moment, the EMP gets closer and closer, and they've actually gotten a kill as well. So the EMP now available. They should be looking to turn on. They should be pulling the trigger at any moment.
Yeah, and picking off Ellen on the back end. Nearly got him there. Good translocate though. And that's the thing, right? Now he knows XQQ is on McCree. He knows that that's what he needs to stay safe from. So he's always going to have a translocator set up for safety.
Actually, they still managed to clean up the rest of SunSister anyway, XQQ included. So second death of the game already fell short, but at least he didn't go swimming like XQQ did previously.
That would be embarrassing.
Oh,
all right.
now
Yeah.
the May's coming
see,
up.
now after he's sort of like gone through warmer and warmer outfits. That's what's happened here. So now he's properly dressed for the weather. XQQ is ready to fight.
Yeah, well, pretty much he'll go into the Winston Yeti skin if he can, because that's about as warm as you can get.
Yeah, just being a gorilla. It's like maximum warmth. And oh, this time it's Odinkin, bit too deep. Samurai D closes out on him, and again, the route is just coming through here. And it feels like SunSister are kind of miscommitting to this dive. They're also losing a lot of time because of these swaps. They do get a return kill here at least, but without getting any extra, it's not going to provide a window for when their respawns come in.
Actually, they've gotten rid of the EMP, but the problem is they still have every other ult on the detonator side to deal with. So EMP's out of the picture. Cool, now's your time to attack while EMP's down. You also got to get past attack visor. Sound barrier's not that far away. Even if you get the kill, Samurai D is going to look for a stall. It's a very difficult position to be in.
All right, well, here we go now.
Translocating.
What was that accent? Translocating.
That's
Here we go.
somber.
XQQ is already picked off. Great sticky there. And already looking a little bit worse for wear. So Hardy is still well set up on this backside as well as Delave picks off all these members. Didn't even have to commit ults to that one aside from that pulse bomb. So SunSister just losing tons and tons of time here.
This is starting to look like DeToNator's attack on Numbani. We're about the 1 minute-ish kind of mark where we kind of said, look, for DeToNator here on Numbani, this is it. They've wasted a lot of pushes here. The defenders are in a great position, and now the script has reversed. I talked about the tables turning, and it does appear that way. SunSister don't have enough options here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of seeming that way. There are still plenty of ultimates up for DeToNator as well. Look, SunSister do have some, so they really need to find a way that they can get in on this one. Saihara getting picked is a good way to go. The EMP is out, but they're actually opening these things up anyway. There's the counter picks, though. Odinkin has to commit here. Zetman committed the ult. Yeah, Odinkin, he's got to find something here as he goes deep. Dodlove is a good start. XQQ Blizzard on the point. That's going to help them, put them a long way. Odinkin tries to catch on to these tanks. He does get taken down, but it does seem that they're getting these kills through here. They're going to be able to close out Yoshiharu. Samurai D is going to ult, and by time, that is probably enough time, actually, for Saihara to rejoin this fight. And SunSister are looking worse for wear. It's only really XQQ here, forced to icicle up on this point here, as Saihara does rejoin, in fact, with this visor running. He's closed out XQQ. The rest of SunSister aren't really here at this point, as Night Owl gets shut off from the point. No one is near it as the clock runs out, and that is why you don't invade Russia in winter.
Oh, so close. I mean, wow, that was just... That's one of those moments where you look at Nepal's Sanctum, when DeToNator just got off the point and the overtime just went out. Again, so I mean, both teams now, that was a strong showing from DeToNator. They're saying don't count us out. You want a 3-0, you're gonna have to fight for that.
That was a little bit brutal. This is a little bit, I mean...
I'll be honest, as we've talked about SunSister having played exceptionally well so far, that was them not playing well. It wasn't so much that DeToNator were overpowering them and DeToNator was so good. DeToNator did what they needed to do. They played the defense correctly. They executed in the way that they planned to. Now for SunSister, XQQ immediately blundered right off the bat.
Yeah. And here's
went for a swim, then changed it to McCree, didn't get much out of that. Yeah. Died, went on the May, didn't get much out of that.
And that's the thing, right? I don't like SunSister's propensity to go for these oddball strategies. Like they're going, okay, let's do the one where we do it with the Widowmaker. And okay, sure, that's what they're going to go with, right? But like, either commit to that or don't commit at all, right? And if you are going to change off it, if it doesn't work, don't go, all right, no, that didn't work. Let's try the different one. Let's try this oddball strategy with McCree instead. And then when that doesn't work, they're like, all right, well, let's try this oddball strategy where we use May. It's like, at no point where they're like, okay, the oddball strategies aren't working. Let's just pick up Soldier here. Let's just pick up Genji here and just go for the stock standard.
Yeah, well, the first thing is, actually Genji wasn't available, so Genji was taken up by Odinkin, which I think is a bit of a problem within itself, and you want Odinkin to be on the D.Va. He's been the D.Va player for the most part, and he's been fantastic on D.Va, and at no point has SunSister, to me, proven they can effectively pull off the triple DPS. Now then, the XQQ Widow pick, that's fine. They made that work before, and I actually don't mind they dropped it straight away because they lost the surprise factor. That's the biggest thing they needed. Went on to the McCree. That's what they should have stayed on. The McCree was going to be fine. Ouch. Ouch.
Gets the early pick. I mean, that's something. It does give him some good old charge. He's trying to set up for another one now. By the way, DeToNator picking triple tank here is them knowing that SunSister do not run Sombra.
SunSister actually do usually run Sombra, so that is a little bit weird. They're deciding not to, which is something new out of SunSister, and the Junkrat defense, it will, I would like to say, this is going to be eventually counted. They got 4 minutes. Didn't they have 4 minutes to get this done and only kept 1/3?
XQQ's on
I don't know
low
if this
ground
is
as
enough.
well. I mean, if Anakin gets onto him or Delave does, where's he going to go? And that's exactly what's happening now. It forces the Diva in here just to keep XQQ alive. Luckily, they've been able to kill the members this time around, but man, what happens when they don't? What happens when Anakin re-aggresses and kills XQQ?
Well, that's the thing. You can actually bait XQQ quite well. So if you're a team and you're playing Mollis into the Soldier, the idea here is that Mollis doesn't die. Mollis is actually the true carry of this team. XQQ at this point, he's there for the spam. He's there to soften up the Detonator members while Mollis actually picks up the kills. And XQQ's playing positioning okay. He's not on the high ground, but he doesn't need to be. He needs to play in that cubbyhole so he can run and hide, put himself in a narrow position, and try and punish Anakin if Anakin wants to dive on him.
Trap was spotted out that time. So far it's working, just by the way. First attack was unsuccessful, but I don't know how much longevity is in this. Early damage onto Samurai D is quite good, but not going to get anything further out of this. And the defense matrix actually eats up that mine. Luckily, Mollis is kind of set up on the far side of this. This is still difficult for DeToNator to aggress onto, but they've started to break through as SunSister have had to back up a little bit. They need to not be too scattered as they do so.
They need a little bit more protection from Mollis if possible. The tanks are still pretty close by. There's not going to be a good chance to use Riptide at any sort of point here. Good opening kills from SunSister at least means, you know, they should be able to just at least play for the player advantage, which is important.
Well,
now the Riptide comes through.
As Mollis goes down, so this kind of needs to save it for them. They do catch Dotlov. The sound barrier committed as well for SunSister means they know that they need to go for this fight, but there we go. Junkrat taken out. There is very little DPS here. Anakin can still go big with this Dragon Blade as well. And honestly, SunSister are just out of tools here. Zetman's stalling with the ult, and this self-destruct is all they have. It creates space, but they don't have DPS that can really follow up on that space, as now the tanks get picked off. DeToNator are all over this point. I don't think Mollis and XQQ are really going to be able to do anything too crazy, especially not with Mollis dying like that, and DeToNator going to pick themselves up a win.
That was strange. That was strange from SunSister because they had a very consistent play style and strategy and composition that they kind of threw out the window for this and kind of just said, you know what? This is the old SunSister and this is what we would do back then. That was a little bit of that coming back on through. And
it's not
I was surprised by the Mei pick and also the Junkrat pick, mostly by the Junkrat pick, but I kind of said, like, why not stick onto the McCree that was working? You caught out Sombra the first time, you caught out Anakin, you almost killed the guy, you at least forced him back. The McCree actually works as a decent counter to that, and if SunSister continue with the McCree, I think they would have found some success, and they weren't going to find that onto Mei, and I don't think they were going to find much success with the Junkrat. They got a little bit, but I also said 4 minutes for DeToNator to counter this. They absolutely can, and they absolutely did.
I'm going to be frank, the Junkrat defense, I hate to say this, the Junkrat defense was a gimmick. It felt gimmicky, and a gimmick has to last you 4 minutes, right? And it did last them one defense, and it nearly lasted them a second one, but like that's how quickly DeToNator figured it out, right? And this is why teams don't run these comps, right? They're not just running it because they aren't good enough at playing Junkrat or something like that, right? And SunSister have their most success when they play more standard picks. It's not play the meta just because. And they can actually play the meta and play it well. Like, it's not like they need to do this because they aren't up to snuff with the, you know, the regular meta picks. I would say that that was the case at one point, but it's just not anymore. So I don't understand why SunSister are reverting back to this stuff where they're sticking XQQ, you know, onto this Mei on attack and onto this Widowmaker. Like, why not just play what's been working?
I have a sensible and maybe even logical sort of analysis of that, which is essentially I think SunSister are underprepared for Volskaya because, look, they're a team that play Hanamura, they're a team that maybe play Temple of Anubis. I don't know how many times we've seen them on Volskaya, I'll probably check that stat later, but I'm going to guess not a lot of times because, and when you go into the other side, it's like DeToNator are far more prepared. They're a team that have beaten AHQ on this map. They're a team that does know how to play the Sombra defense, and they do know the ins and outs of what that kind of looks like and how to execute. And I also mentioned, if we look back at you know, how did DeToNator win? DeToNator didn't play exceptional there. They just did what they needed to do. They had a plan, and they executed that plan. That was it. SunSister kind of lost it for themselves. DeToNator didn't necessarily do anything special.
SunSister didn't do anything about it. And actually, you're completely right. Yeah, look, it's still not good. SunSister, they played the game wrong. They played the comp wrong. They did everything wrong. And if they did it because...
they did everything wrong.
Yeah, and if they did it, this is the thing. If they did it because they hadn't prepared for Volskaya, then they did that wrong too.
That's a lot of wrongs.
I feel like that would. I feel like that's 4 wrongs.
I'll tell you what.
And none of those are going to make
your
right.
third wrong kind of when you said everything wrong, like the 4th wrong just went under that umbrella as well. So at that sort of stage,
it's
nothing else could be correct.
Well, I suppose like what I mean by that is, you know, in the match itself, they didn't do what they needed to do. Really, they didn't do themselves any favors. And then the reason they were doing it like you said, was potentially being under-prepped for Volskaya. And that is actually well played by DeToNator to have that map pick. Like, it's not often that we actually see that really happen, that it's really the map pick that throws the other team for a loop, because generally speaking, every team is well enough prepared for every map.
Yeah.
And you can understand why SunSister, look, SunSister once upon a time did this sort of thing on every single map. And over the course of this tournament, they've had to fix this up on every single map once they had brought in XQQ, which wasn't right at the start anyway. So
yeah.
The fact that they've actually done that on pretty much every map now but Volskaya is actually a testament to how much they've improved. But they haven't quite locked down every single map yet with playing these more meta picks, with actually executing them cleanly enough to take it to these other teams. So they're still not all the way there, but it does at least kind of show what improvement has been made, because that was the old SunSister. But what we saw earlier tonight, the team that was 2-0 up, is the new SunSister.
And I'd actually like to mention as well, if we kind of in our minds may have looked at this and said the 3-0 might actually be coming here. XQQ believes it's coming, and we thought, here we go.
Yep.
It's going to be the SunSister 3-0. But I also, part of me kind of knew this was going to perhaps go the distance. We're going to at least go to map 4 here. I'm still expecting a map 5 just because DeToNator proved, look, we're no pushovers either. Remember, we've been in SunSister every single match. Their best showing against us was a map 5, but since then we've 3-0'd every single time. So DeToNator, they're here to play as well. They know they're not going to go down too easy.
Yeah, this series isn't going to be ending in a hurry. I guarantee you that, especially not with Escort being the next one. There's no first hold kind of thing that can happen in Escort.
The only thing that's kind of interesting is when you compare Numbani and you compare Volskaya, both of those were complete shutouts and from the opposite teams. So usually when two teams match up quite closely, they're just close across the board on every single map. It's quite rare that you get a sort of case where one team shuts a team out on one map and then the opposite happens on a different map. And it's kind of, that's an interesting dynamic.
It is, and to be honest, it was that shutout on Numbani that had me feeling confident about Assault. And again, that kind of speaks to them just not having prepared for Volskaya specifically, given that what they did on Numbani, you know, in terms of being able to first hold a team on a point and then also cap it with some ease, you know, that's something, that skill set is extremely translatable to Assault. I mean, Hybrid is literally half Assault, half Escort, and they won on the Assault half of Hybrid. So
exactly.
It's interesting. You're quite right. It is interesting, but it's also happened. What's done is done. DeToNator do want to turn this one around, but SunSister are still on the cusp of closing this out. And look, if they lost that because they just hadn't prepared for Volskaya at all, they will have prepared for every kind of Escort map. I can guarantee you that much.
And actually, this kind of gives me nightmarish flashbacks. It may give SunSister those same flashbacks because it does now start to remind me of that infamous kind of SunSister versus Fireball series where they almost got their map when they were 2-0 up and then they got reverse sweep. Now we're going to go into a replay. And I believe this is DeToNator's first defense. So
yes, and so here we go. This is... I'm actually racking my brains for exactly what happened. Yeah, DeToNator's first defense here was...
this is in the final moments.
Yeah, no, this is much later. Yeah, so this is where they were finally able to hold out. And one thing I noted here is the order in which people died and the way they were able to come back. Once they started getting these kills onto these members, Saihade, by the way, he's alive, but he is respawned. So he is on his way back to the fight. Now look at where DeToNator are. They had actually caught out a split up SunSister. So half of those members there that would respawn at the end of that fight, all the members of DeToNator that were up, they weren't actually in the fight. It was really just the two tanks. But what happened is Saihade was able to rejoin, and he had the tac visor, he closed out the last couple of members, and he stopped the remaining members of SunSister that had just respawned from rejoining the point. Because you do have attacker's advantage, you're closer to the point, but because of the order in which people died, and the timing of the last few deaths of SunSister coinciding with Saihade's re-arrival with their ultimate really cost him the point.
Yeah, so the other thing I kind of noticed there was also the fact that DeToNator they didn't win that fight as cleanly as I thought because they had 6 ultimates and I expected them to kind of clean out SunSister a little bit. SunSister came in with not a lot to use. Blizzard got a kill, which is actually quite rare. We never see the Blizzard icon actually get that kill.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's something that's a little bit strange that is quite rare. It's almost as rare as, in fact, it's more rare so far in the tournament than the Diva Recall mech getting kills, of which we've seen 3 of. But the fact that Saihade dies with Tac Visor, has to respawn, has to come back with that and use it in the last moments to secure that defense. I mean, there are also mistakes and there are also things SunSister did well. They managed to get a couple of trades where maybe they shouldn't have because when you're on 6 ultimates on defense, I mean, that's maximum strength for you and you almost got pushed a bit.
It's funny, isn't it, that we don't see that many Blizzard kills? Because it says a lot about the Ultimate itself, that it's more about the slowing down. So here now was a much later fight.
Yeah, so this is going to be the Junkrat defense coming out from SunSister. You actually see the Riptide come out, collects a kill onto Donald, but immediately Samurai D went in for the kill, and actually a sound barrier kept XQQ alive for a long time. That it ended up costing XQQ's life anyway, and Riptide kind of does it. You announce where you are, you're standing still for a very long time. The Graviton Search from Saihate catches our final members, and not a lot left here. It's just the two tanks from SunSister trying to keep things alive, but respawners are not going to get in quickly enough. Timer goes down, and eventually, well, DeToNator cleanup.
And one of the things that really cost SunSister there, something that worked on the first defense, was Mollis being on that high ground. And SunSister, first of all, they were going to see if they could react to that and take out Mollis after they'd set themselves up. But then Mollis went down to the low ground. That's the thing, Anakin didn't actually dive Mollis up on that high ground. Anakin just found him kind of sitting in the middle of that courtyard there. So a big misposition by Mollis actually cost them. Even if he hadn't died, he would have been in the wrong position to anchor the fight for his team in terms of DPS, because it's not XQQ's job to do that on the Junkrat. His job, like you said, is to soften up targets, is to cause a bit of disarray and to harass, while Mollis is set up safe and closes out members while people are busy diving XQQ because he's the more vulnerable DPS. So Mollis not being in the right position cost them that more than anything else.
It was kind of a two-factor thing, because realistically, if the Junkrat wasn't there, they would have been better off, I would like to believe. Next map through does come out is going to be Route 66, and you know, opportunity for SunSister to still pick up a win. They get a 3-1's not that bad. All XQQ has to do is get out their marker, cross out the 0, and put a 1 there instead. It's still a win on the board, and it's still a win that's important to them. Just maybe hold out on the Junkrat this time, because I even would have thought not using the Riptide would have been preferable. Riptide made him way too vulnerable. He was also in a bad spot anyway. You can just see the reaction. Samurai D says, cool, you use Riptide, I'm going to just kill you now. And that's exactly what happened.
I hope they did bring a marker. And just by the way, a note here about Route 66. I do actually expect this to go to Time Bank. I do very much expect that to be the case. I'd be surprised if it didn't go to Time Bank, certainly. And historically, we see SunSister play Time Bank a little better than DeToNator.GOLD. But the last time we saw DeToNator.GOLD go to Time Bank was in their series against AHQ, where AHQ really struggled themselves.
You know what? I don't think we've ever seen SunSister go on Route 66. We've barely seen any team, but we definitely have not seen SunSister there. We have, however,
they don't get to go there.
In fact, I believe we saw DeToNator there. There was one series where I believe it was against either Machi or Hong Kong Attitude, where they nearly lost it in the Time Bank, mind you. And either of those two teams of the Taiwanese side just scraped it back against DeToNator, and DeToNator almost won that. I don't know if you do remember that one. I do remember that. So DeToNator, we have seen. I have a feeling that was actually the series against AHQ that you're thinking of. Where they won
you're
absolutely right. It was AHQ,
and that's what I was saying. Last time we actually saw these guys, they didn't actually play the Time Bank very well. And it wasn't so much the attack, it was the defense. That was why AHQ were able to get it through, right? Because honestly, they didn't commit at the right times. I remember it quite clearly, because the payload hadn't got very far on their own attack on the Time Bank anyway. They actually had an opportunity to commit at the right time, and they didn't actually take the opportunity. They didn't play Time Bank like it was Time Bank. We see so many teams do that. And if we go to Time Bank, I fully expect DeToNator to struggle with that, because we've already seen earlier tonight, they've struggled to play to the objective. You know, how many times have they gone on a wild goose chase against, trying to kill the members of SunSister when there's a point that they should be capping? I expect to see the same on Time Bank.
At the same time, the way they executed the Sombra defense was playing to the plan. So while they have made mistakes on that front, also they have done quite well there with SunSister failed to capitalize. So Route 66 is going to be a new experience for SunSister, at least for us. In fact, for everybody. No one has seen this team on Route. I'm kind of just glad we're not going to Dorado, because we've seen too much Dorado, and it's time to bring out something else.
I'm sick of those trumpets.
Yeah,
shove that trumpet down your throat. Yeah, give me that funky slide guitar. Yeah. Hear that. What I'm in it for.
That's right. Oh boy. I heard something I didn't really want to hear. The sound of a car bomb from a Junkrat.
I do like, by the way, that lore-wise, most of his equipment is just like car bits.
Yeah.
Like the way he launches his grenades is like a mini tire, just spins and like shoots off the grenades.
He should be able to go to Zed's garage here and just restock his equipment.
Yeah, like that would make perfect sense. Or he like stops into Big Earl's, puts some more gas in his gun.
Gas in his gun. Is that how his gun operates?
Well, it's car parts, so yeah, he needs petrol.
Oh boy.
Let's show them what we can do.
By the way, Big Earl is never there.
And neither is Zed. Zed's garage
Yeah.
is on the second second checkpoint.
These people are not very good at like actually running their establishment.
I'd love it if they were both out for a drink, they come back and both their garages are kind of ruined because
Just absolutely
12
torn to
12
bits.
hooligans just rampaged on through.
Yeah, or like all the people who live on Ilios come home and find their houses just wrecked. So the drug cart was swapped off. We can all kind of rest easy for a moment. Mirrored team comps to come out of the gate here. Let's see who does what and
And
how.
I'm kind of expecting, you know, it is SunSister defending first, and they're not opting for an aggressive defense here, they're just taking things slow. But now the fight does start.
DeToNator get the wrap around. Zetman doesn't really have a great retreat part. Does get back on top of Big Earls, but now Odenkirk is kind of caught out on the low ground. They're staying all right here and actually managed to catch Anakin, who was trying to wrap back around to his team. XQQ all barely scrapes out alive. That is very, very important for them. And DeToNator actually had a good position there with trying to get the wrap around, but SunSister kind of stuck to their guns, kept steady through it, and were able to catch DeToNator as they regrouped.
Yeah, good car position for SunSister. They're just sort of stopping it before it even really makes it around the corner here. So for DeToNator, they're going to have to fight through a decent amount of progress before they can really put themselves in a winning position.
Big early commit because they had that ultimate available, and I do like this, the nano boost onto the Winston,
He's
because
gotta
it
get
just
out.
amplifies the
Ooh,
dive
okay.
palette. He commits his own ultimate as well. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, it really was mostly to save his own life, but he can't really get kills with it. He's just kind of displacing, and now he will get out. What they have at least done, though, is wasted about a minute's worth of time there.
Yeah, they have, and they're going to need a little bit more time. They've actually charged up a bunch of other ultimates so they can commit
need
these
a
in the
pulse
next
bomb.
couple fights. Big problem is sound barrier available for Delay. That's going to stop up potentially both Execute and maybe even Mollis. Mollis has to land a good pulse bomb.
He really does, but they're not going to be able to get the opportunity to do that.
No.
XQQ tried to go in as well. They both went a bit too aggressive on their DPS ults and both got counted out. XQQ did not really pick a good moment for that, and now they get completely forced out of this one. No real great position to defend from as they're forced well back.
And this is kind of where you'd like Zetman to still have the Primal Rage, and it's kind of the second time tonight where we look at this and we say, maybe he should have held it, maybe he should have looked for a position where he didn't have to get that Primal Rage forced out. DeToNator came in with a lot of ults, 5 if I'm not incorrect there. SunSister blew 2 of them, not going to be enough to save them, and now the cart pushes on through. DeToNator should... actually,
SunSister had time for a
SunSister,
fight, yeah.
SunSister will be able to get that fight. There it is.
They've got the self-destruct, which could help them, but Odenkirk needs to be able to get into position for that, and that is a hard ask. Also, Hade, maybe a little bit too deep. Night Owl does go down there, so it pays off. Samurai D is in deep, but Zetman goes down. Odenkirk was not able to get into position for the self-destruct, but they're here now anyway, and he may just have to commit. Indeed, he does, but it's too late. The members are dead.
There it is. Still a decent cleanup here. SunSister now is just going to get routed out. Probably don't want to feed too many ultimates if possible. The cap will eventually come on through. There should be a
this is
decent amount of
gross.
momentum actually now moving on through. They do have to get that kill because otherwise Odenkirk will delay their cut. They don't want to. They don't want to be swapped up.
Yeah, that is fair. But with how that timed, if I'm not mistaken, Odenkirk is going to have the longer walk back. So this gives DeToNator a huge amount of space.
Absolutely, because you know he's not going to get that close respawn. He has to spawn in the third cap. That's kind of deadly. Anakin needs to live here because Dragon Blade is going to be the tool.
Yeah, so Hardy as well is going to be looking for a pulse bomb around the side. That is absolutely what his positioning is here for. But he does get forced out. Zetman going aggressive. Actually, they catch Yoshiharu while Hardy was regrouping. And while Anakin, I don't even know where he was. And now Anakin is trying to go in, but his team is dead. He's got nothing behind him. He found Night Owl, but it's like, you know, good job, buddy. Your team lost the fight anyway. He could have just held that ultimate. Now he's going to lose his life as well.
Well, you know, communication issues maybe on the back end. He was going for the back line. Unfortunately, for DeToNator, SunSister saw the opportunity, which is your own back line here. In fact, your entire team minus yourself is kind of still stuck in this opening period, this opening sort of area where we can commit on. So SunSister taking an early fight, I like that. That gives them a lot more room to play with now. The card is still at the back. They can reset up this defense, and DeToNator, they lost an ultimate.
And this is where that time is really going to factor in. This is the same thing now again. Zetman going in with his great dive and XQQ there with the follow-up of this Dragon Blade. Gets the 2 kills.
Nice
Ow, wow, actually
turnaround,
catches the
180.
third one on the back end of it as well. Yeah, that was
great.
really great. And Mollis able to close out another one as well. They only used the 1 ultimate for that. That is astounding economy.
There he is, just keeps on going. He's finding these kills, maybe even looking for one more. Takes a dive off the side. That's Yoshiharu. Gonna reset with his team. Now SunSister, they get a decent hold here. They looked a little bit choppy on Big Girls. They looked a little bit choppy on that first stage. Now they're playing on Zed's garage. Maybe this is the garage they actually like.
Yeah.
I like to take all my business.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Yeah, like that's two extremely close garages. You're quite right there. But now XQQ needs to find a little bit more. Pulse Bomb does come out. SunSister looking a little bit worse for wear. Oh, the sound barrier has just become available for Elu, but it wasn't in time to save Night Owl. He does have to commit it now. Oniken with the self-destruct forces a lot of zoning, and he does catch the lave as well. Yoshiharu not quite so lucky. Zetman goes down though without ulting. Samurai D, at least his ult will run out. SunSister still have enough members to keep committing, but if XQQ goes down, they're going to have a hard time with this. Anakin has gone deep, finds XQQ, and there will be no counterattack from SunSister. Even though they held on to the point where maybe they could have, DeToNator were able to close it out by using all of their ultimates.
I'll tell you what, this is kind of a flashback to something we've said before, but when you get these two Genjis and one blades and the other one doesn't, it feels like there's just one sword and both Genjis are fighting over it. Now it's my turn to use a Dragon Blade, and then you die and you give the Dragon Blade to the other guy to use.
It's a tale of two Genjis.
Tell the two Genjis, but they've only got one sword to use between the two of them.
Yeah, that's like my favorite.
You gotta pick up the sword from the dead body of the other guy.
That's my favorite Overwatch literary pun. Now this is XQQ's turn, and it was disappointing.
Yeah, give me that sword back, says Anakin. I want to have
another go. And then he goes straight into the Tesla cannon. Zetman is slept on the wrong side of this fight. There's no DPS to keep going with this one. Mollis, he does get one, but they're just getting picked apart here. XQQ too early with the Dragon Blade, too aggressive. Compare and contrast how Anakin used it. It was later in the fight. It was to close out the fight. XQQ tried to open the fight with it. It's so much riskier. And now XQQ is going to be trickling on. They're bleeding down the clock. I don't completely disagree with this, but they're not exactly getting return kills.
They're trying to force ults, and that's a big deal, but they're not getting anything. They're just feeding members.
Yeah, they're just feeding members to a hungry DeToNator who are going to get the cap through here anyway. Have enough ultimates just barely to get a snowball through, given that they will have the Nano Blade combo.
All right, and XQQ's had enough of that as well. Actually, changing to the soldier here is good. The soldier's a lot better than
Fine, you can take the sword. I don't want it anyway.
I got a gun. You bring a sword to a gunfight. That's exactly how it's going to play out now. XQQ, I do like the soldier pickup, like I kind of said here. Genji has... This is a lot more narrow for Genji to play in. I feel like the soldier pick will be preferable.
Oh, sticky wide for Saihade. That's good. They've absorbed that, but here's the Nano Blade combo. Let's see how they go.
That's awkward. That's super... Wow.
It's really awkward. And then, like, then the soldier shoots them and he has to deflect. It's like, look at me. I am the gun now. Look, Samurai D gets one return kill because he's using the ultimate, but they just used all of their resources, got really nothing for it. SunSister, they read that one, they reacted, they just kind of scattered there and just let Anakin swing at the air before they swung back.
This is now great positioning. 60 seconds left, actually, so a lot of time has been played out. We did sort of mention, specifically you mentioned, SunSister, while they were feeding members, they were trying to force ultimates, but they're actually buying a lot of time. Now that time being bought earlier on is starting to pay off with only less than 1 minute left to go. DeToNator are kind of struggling. Anakin even going to the hog. Both players noticing Genji's not going to be the play here. It's a lot more close. We want something more hit scan.
Oh, this is a little bit dangerous though. Zetman, oh, he's just barely able to retreat. They've got some ultimates here to use though. They just need to find the window. Saihade is desperately looking to rack up the pulse bomb. Sound barrier to steer SunSister through so they can get their stuff going. XQQ nicely blocked up on this high ground. And the sound barrier is there too, so they're going to get nothing for that nanovisor combo. They do create space, but oh dear, one half of DeToNator retreats, and that means Anakin is left out in the cold. And now they go on the attack as they catch Dodlov on the backline as well. Zetman going deep to find the other healer in Delayed. Yoshiharu forced out of the mech, forced into the grave, and they're running down the whole clock. They will not be able to get the full cap through here, DeToNator.
I want a moment to say they're running down the whole clock with the whole hog, and there's just a few moments remaining here. Anakin's actually going to still play with the nano boost.
They're gonna go for this. Oh, but a great bio grenade is gonna stop him up. He doesn't have a whole hog. That's a good Earth Shatter though. And they don't close out on Anakin. They tunnel on him. I have spoken too soon, and I will wash my mouth out with soap after this. I apologize dearly. SunSister will get a rack of respawns though, so now it's gonna be a really last minute fight. That's so troublesome because they wanted to hold it right there. Now, even if the cap doesn't go through,
one ultimate.
Yeah, even if they hold it, it's going to be so much further forward than they would have liked. And it's do or die as they pile onto the payload. The self-destruct from Yoshiharu as Night Owl gets caught coming out of the gate. Zetman taken down. XQQ, good return kill on the pilot. Anakin, though, opening up this whole hog, is scattering SunSister. Even XQQ is taking a bit of this one as he goes down on the back end.
This is happening.
The team gets smacked down. The cap will go through in overtime. DeToNator, the window was jammed shut on their fingers, so they head-butted the glass, broke it, and stuck their head through here anyway when here's Johnny and got the point.
Here's Anakin.
That was a really long-winded one, but you know what? It happened.
And you know what? He did run down the whole clock with the whole hog, so there it is. Everybody gets the win here.
You turned out to be right. You turned out to be completely right.
And you turned out to be right because we may actually go to time bank here, but for that to happen, SunSister have to push on through as well, and now it does look like a little bit of an ask. DeToNator barely made it through. SunSister still kind of feeling the loss onto Volskaya. We've never seen them on Route 66. This is the first time we've seen them defend. They had hit and miss moments, and there were good moments, but there were also a lot of bad moments. So I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree to that. Really do not know what to expect here on
Especially because it's SunSister.
Yeah, Route 66. It's always an interesting map. You know, there's actually in the US there was a Route 666. It's a sub-route of Route 66, and it was closed down because people believed it was cursed. I don't know, maybe it was.
There's that. Is there a Route 13? Is that a
Got the right
I don't know.
stuff.
I really don't know. Okay, one of our production crew is American, so maybe he can confirm this one for us. I don't know if there's a Route 13, but
is Route 66 in Texas though?
I
don't know where it is.
That's a really good question. Well, the significant
Really
thing,
pushing your geography
the significant
here, by the way.
thing, I believe it's more northern than that, but the significant thing with Route 66, if I'm not mistaken, is it was sort of for a good time one of the only ways to get. They've actually just put a map up on a screen. So yes, Route 66 does go through the northernmost part of Texas.
There it is.
Goes from
It's in Texas and a lot of states.
Goes from Illinois through down to the south of California. So there you go. We've all learned.
You don't want to push the
I
cart.
know a lot. I know a lot about Russian geopolitics, but I don't know anything about American highways.
Tell you what, that's a long way to push the cart, but you know, SunSister now. This is the aggressive defense that I thought they might want to pull out.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about the game.
DeToNator do actually pull it out instead, and actually this is where the scouting Hanzo really works, because you want to scout out to see if the defending team is trying something tricky here, and they did spot that out. They do punish Samurai D, and now they push on it, and DeToNator I kind of have to wait.
Yeah, there isn't actually anywhere for DeToNator to really pull back to, because they went for that, and in losing Samurai D, like, they got no tanks to hide behind.
What is that?
So
Cave mystery? I've never seen that before.
What?
That billboard. Anyway, I don't know.
Have you not? That's like the spawn, and it's got like spooky ghosts and things.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to that.
Wow. But look, another catch now to Samurai D. Dude just can't catch a break. And they're just continuing this one. They're taking all the ground that DeToNator are having to give up because they're losing these members. And if DeToNator want to keep trying to contest, they're going to be throwing bodies at the point in this numerical disadvantage. It's just hurting them. Amakin barely scrapes out with his life. Oh no, never mind. Mollis ready to run that one down. And now again, SunSister are going to move forward, take the ground that DeToNator have had to cede, and they should be able to get the cap through on top of this as well.
This is so much quicker than DeToNator had as well. I believe DeToNator will try and defend no matter what. They are regrouping. Usually when you fall out like that, you are looking to regroup. And the cart is not in a position where they can cap it out immediately. And here comes DeToNator. They do prepare for this, and that's the defense.
Amakin is going to come around the other side of this. They're looking to get in a little bit of a pinch and not going to let SunSister do to them what they did to SunSister, but a great one. Every time Samurai D just keeps going down, they commit some ultimates to it. Now Night Owl with this Transcendence keeps the team nice and pretty through Amakin's Dragon Blade. It only finds Mollis, and Mollis was actually busy diving anyway, so that's not even Amakin really present in the rest of this fight. Zetman closing out a kill as well. And honestly, SunSister are poised to get this cap through as the remaining members of DeToNator get routed out. Great cap.
And actually, it does look like Night Owl used Transcendence in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did. Quite early, but it was very well timed.
So there is something. And he counted out the Dragon Blade, so I'm okay with that. It was a 1-for-1 trade, and SunSister keep the rest of their ultimates. In fact, still forward positioning. They're actually locking DeToNator out of even defending the street space. This is actually a big deal.
And they've got themselves a visor here as well. It saves this great pulse bomb, gets past the barrier, the defense matrix. Dunlop did commit the boost as well, but that's really all they've got out of this one. Zetman is going to go down here, but they killed Amakin. They forced Slayhardy out of this fight. The payload, it is being contested, luckily, but it's not going to be contested for long, honestly. SunSister is still coming out the better of this fight. They've forced all these ultimates out of DeToNator anyway, having only used their own pulse bomb, and they're going to keep the payload moving anyway.
That they do, and actually, SunSister didn't have to use too many ultimates. I feel like DeToNator committed way more. DeToNator really wanted to go for that defense. Losing Samurai D at an awkward time means it's hard for them to regroup because they got to have Samurai D leading the charge. He's just come back online. The cart's still moving, and actually, that entrance, it's being held by both the tanks of SunSister, so it's very difficult for DeToNator to come on in.
This is great to see because we've seen SunSister fail to do this exact thing on King's Row. This corner trap, if it does pull off, is nuts. The sleep goes wide. He bumps so far out now is Dodlov, and the sound barrier keeps the team steady. So Dodlov wasn't even with the team while the sound barrier was running for DeToNator. They were lacking so many members. The tanks weren't really diving the right people because Mollis and XQQ were scattering away, and meanwhile, Zepman was just screwing up all the positioning of the backliners. So now another cap goes straight on through for SunSister with almost no contest from DeToNator.
And a quick swap over for XQQ as well, wasting absolutely no time. Anakin's going to hold on to his hero because he wants to take use of that Dragon Blade. But look at the time, 4 minutes, 19 seconds. When we were here for DeToNator, they had less than 1 minute. This is a massive, staggering difference between the two teams. SunSister have so many opportunities, and XQQ, he's got a little bit of decision-making problems because now he goes back to the Genji.
That pulse bomb did get in. That was good reactions by Yoshiharu, and this is the opportunity for DeToNator to open out. There was a few ultimates committed there by SunSister, unfortunately, and DeToNator do hold that one down with really the few ultimates they had, which was just the Dragon Blade. So Carter's now stalled, and it will be a little bit tricky for SunSister to push this through to the end, but 3.5 minutes, actually more than that even, 3:45, they should be able to do it.
And Zetman changes onto the Reinhardt as well, so it's going to be shield on shield battle here. Slow push is the name of the game. SunSister do look a little bit prepared. They have a couple more ultimates than DeToNator do. And we'll give them a few more options, but they have to break through. They have to find an opening or create one.
Even by Samurai D. Zetman has to be saved by the Transcendence. And this is the opportunity for SunSister to go aggressive. They are trying to make it work. Amakin, though, a little bit too deep with this boost on him, and he's not finding much for it. SunSister are the ones actually scattering DeToNator, but they're not really finding much. All they've got so far is Dodlov, sound barrier out. The Earthshatter doesn't quite catch enough. The members are a little bit too far away. Good charge into Odinkum, but now Samurai D is actually too deep, so he gets collapsed upon. The opening is here. Yeah, 2 Samurai deep. The opening is here as Yoshiharu is forced to commit this self-destruct, rather, given that he was forced out of the mech. Amakin goes down as well. XQQ didn't find much with the Dragon Blade. What they found was space. Look at that sleep right on the backside as well onto Dodlov. It means he's not actually helping these tanks. Now they're piling out of the gate. The payload has made a ton of distance in that minute.
Almost onto the pulse bomb as well. Earthshatter available. He's got to commit this pretty soon.
Here it is! It's a huge one. 4 members charge in. Tanks done so. Amakin is to try and turn it around, but here's the last man standing. And I thought they were going to get stalled up and then maybe get the cap through, but never mind that. Cap through, 2.5 minutes, running rampant on King's Row. It's not even King's Row, it's Route 66!
Are you sure you're okay with the geography here?
I get confused sometimes between the north of Texas and London.
Sometimes you push that card all the way through America and you end up in London. How does that happen? I don't know. But we are going to time bank. Like you said, you expected this to go to time bank, and we're going to get there. SunSister have a lot more time to play with her, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, that is going to be so huge. And like I said, it's funny, I called it. I said I expect this to go to time bank. I also expect DeToNator to struggle because they don't play defenses for time bank. And even then, we saw their defense in non-time bank really fall to bits on this first point. So they have to get a ton of distance on their push. And even then, I don't know if they can actually hold out for 3.5 minutes.
The caveat is that was some time ago. I would like to think DeToNator have progressed much further. And they absolutely have progressed in many other ways, but we haven't seen too many more time bank situations for DeToNator to really go off of. So this is going to be a big test because they're behind in a couple ways. You're saying they're not the best time bank team, noted, but also they're not having a lot of time to play with 1 minute. Meanwhile, you have SunSister sitting on 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so it's a big difference.
Yeah, it is absolutely a huge difference. So here we go. We'll see how well SunSister can defend. They only have to hold for a minute, and they were able to run out about a minute on their first defense in the initial defense. I don't know, pre-time bank. What's the name for that? The normal bit.
Just the normal, just the regular.
The regular. It wasn't just the regular bank, the money bank. Well, let's see now. So hard to looking to wrap around the backside. So they're going for a bit of a different strategy here, and it is starting to work a little bit. SunSister are going to have to try and go in for a good commit here. They are running down the clock a little bit, though.
Actually, no one's really decided to go into this fight. Both teams kind of just looking for positioning, but the cart does move. That's something SunSister have to take notice of. They have to be able to do something.
There we go.
That's the kill to open things
That's
up.
the dream team. Once again, XQQ and Mollis had Dodlov in their sights. They had sort of targeted that guy, and they went in, followed up. Good catch onto Night on the back end of it, but Samurai D leaves himself too deep as he does that. Again, 2 Samurai deep. Mollis, he's going to be able to regroup, re-get back around on this one. DeToNator are being forced back with only a few seconds remaining.
They can't run.
Yeah.
They need to go.
Yeah, it's only Sayhadi contesting the cart, and he's now gone. They're going to have to commit the rest of the members there. They didn't actually get a chance to regroup. XQQ with this Dragon Blade cuts off the members as they try and trickle back towards the cart to rejoin the tanks that dove for it. XQQ does go down, but it is only Samurai D on this cart. He is going to get picked off. Pulse Bomb for insult to injury. Sayhadi is now the last member there, but he can't even touch it. Overtime runs down, and that was negligible difference.
Well, Mollis threw the Pulse Bomb for Mollis threw the Pulse Bomb for Samurai D. It actually caught Anakin instead. So
yeah.
That's kind of hilarious. Not in a good way for DeToNator.
Yeah. No. Dove in front of it. Get down, Mr. President.
Well played by SunSister, and like you said as well, the 1-2 punch combo of Mollis and XQQ able to find these pickouts, and they get Dotolov straight off the bat. That's an important kill. That means it's very difficult, to shut down one of the primary healers, but the Discord Orb adds a lot for DeToNator to actually play with. Then they shut down Samurai D straight after that, got a punish, and suddenly the fight snowballs, and by the time the timer runs out, you actually see DeToNator members trying to run. They wanted to regroup, then they realize, oops, 4 seconds remaining, we don't have time for this, we just gotta go. By that time, it's too late. You have an XQQ Dragon Blade ready to go.
And that's the thing, right? SunSister did play for time back. You saw where they looked to stop up the cart, and they went, let's not fully commit to the fight here. Let's just jostle about here. This is where we're going to have the jostling phase of the fight, where we're just poking at each other. No one's going down. You're trying to set up. We're just stalling up the cart. And then they picked the right moments to go aggressive. And when they did, it forced DeToNator into that position where they suddenly had to dive for the cart, or they were just going to straight up lose. And even if SunSister had lost that fight when they hit the go button, the cart would have been moving in overtime. They would have had time to commit to a second fight before the point cap went through.
All right, so now it's going to be DeToNator's turn to defend it. They've got a tall order ahead of them. Triple tank will be the name of the game for them, and for the DPS choice, they're going to go for the lore-accurate choice.
Yeah, actually, you're kind of right there with McCree here. So let's see how this one is able to go, because that can shut down Mollis as he tries to wrap around this backside here. We'll see how much distance they can get, because DeToNator are really going to have to go for these fights with no hesitation.
Actually, you've got to be careful. If one of these tanks gets caught out quite early, this is a big flank around.
Dotolov! They do actually keep him alive. SunSister are a little bit deep now. The tanks are getting aggressed upon. Odinkun and Zetman both going to lose their lives here. This is going to be stopped up in the first push now by DeToNator.
And actually, both teams got kind of split up there, because the attacking force of SunSister went forward. The tanks of DeToNator decided to go forward onto SunSister as well. Unfortunately for SunSister, their attackers couldn't get any kills. However, DeToNator, they did get kills, so they do stop up the initial defense. This period is important because now we're into sort of phase where DeToNator would be getting close to ultimates and SunSister are not.
The only thing is, I still don't feel that DeToNator committed to that fight. I feel SunSister did, and DeToNator punished it. It's a different thing than actually committing to the early fight, because you know you're in time back. Now here's going to be the next commit. As this Discord orb is down, they've got Samurai D. That's it. That's all they needed. Now the front line is cracked. He looks for Dotolov once again. No bio grenade available just yet. Good sleep though onto Zetman. XQQ gets picked out before he commits the Dragon Blade, but they still have to stop up this cart. The Graviton is there to do it with a ton of damage. He commits it, but he commits it very early. They'll get a team wipe off this. Zetman committed an ult. He did not need to do that. He could have just held on to it. Oh no, that is so unfortunate. Look, they do still have ultimate advantage, so they can still push this one through, but they could have had even more.
Well, and honestly, yeah, they could have definitely had more, but they go 1-to-1 with the Sayhunter, so both teams kind of lost something there. The Graviton didn't need to be committed, neither did the Primal Rage. Bit of a hiccup there on both sides. XQQ, you actually see in the last fight, he wanted to get that Dragon Blade, but he kept missing shurikens onto Dotolov, couldn't charge it up on time. That could have been such a different fight. Now he's going to get a chance to commit.
Looking to get Anakin here, which means all these tools are being committed by DeToNator. The sound barrier and then the self-destruct. No one is dead yet for SunSister. They still have more options. They've got, oh, here we go, Deadeye. They have to spot it out. Oh, the deflect! It is massive, and XQQ is going to go hard on this one with the Dragon Blade. First he finds Samurai D, and he's just going to win this fight by himself. Dotolov down. Yoshiharu, no mech, no pilots to even get back in it, and it's just Anakin desperately trying to stall, desperately trying to fit the whole team in his backpack, but it is not going to happen, and SunSister are going to close it out in the last possible moment of the last possible game. They have beaten their rival team DeToNator.
And they got that one game win, that one match win they've been waiting for so long. Celebrations in the SunSister camp. They've been wanting this the entire OPC Season 1 journey, and now they're at the end of the journey. This is their final match of the entire season, and what a way to cap it off.
And all off that one deflect of the Deadeye. Like, that has got to be the hugest good feeling.
Not
ever.
according to Overwatch.
Yeah. But I mean, this is XQQ who wasn't even on
Actually,
the
this
starting
was a huge-
roster.
this was a huge play as well.
On their attack, exactly. This is what closed out the initial attack. But honestly, XQQ was not even on the starting roster. And we have, I feel, given valid criticism to this guy where he's gone onto these weird off-meta picks that haven't worked. And SunSister recognized that it wasn't working. They were doing it because they couldn't play the meta picks in a way that matched other teams, but they fixed that problem. They do actually look a lot better.
Oh, here we go. And they finally get the handshakes. They've spent the entire tournament receiving handshakes from the other team, and for the first time, they get to collect it from a team instead. This is the best feeling for this team. They finally achieved their goal, and you know what? A lot of teams came in with specific goals. This was their goal, and they got it.
Yeah, and that is their final game of the OPC. What a way for them to finish it. They finally got there. That is exactly what you want to get out, given how hard you were finding things right at the start. This is as good as it could have ended for SunSister. This is what they carry into relegations, and they couldn't ask for anything more. And now, after today, I feel like we're going to see them in Season 2.
Yeah, the best possible send-off properly. XQQ still has to grab the marker out there, change it to a 3-1. They could have had the 3-0, but unfortunately Volskaya didn't go their way. Route 66 was a very entertaining, close, hard-fought match.
And I really do feel hard-fought and SunSister...
Well-deserved.
Yeah, SunSister fought harder. I mean, yeah, sayonara SunSister. What a way to go.
DeToNator, though, they're not just done quite yet. They got one more beast to tackle. And it's
Beast indeed.
It is it's not the kind of beast you want to really get into a fight with.
Let's call it David and Goliath, only in an alternate universe. I mean, this is, look, maybe David's gonna win again, but I don't know. It's a tough one.
What kind of wolf would a flash wolf be anyway? Like a lightning kind of wolf? Not too sure.
That's one way to interpret it.
Oh, really? Like you know when you describe something as flash, they're like, that's really flash.
It's a really posh wolf.
Yeah.
Like really,
it's decked out in jewelry.
The pack is like they've got a kill and they're ripping it to bits, and it's just the one wolf that's like going in for it.
All right, let's take a look
Adjust
at
his monocle, takes a bite.
Let's take a look at the updated standings now after their victory. So right at the bottom of the table, 3-23 DeToNator.GOLD. SunSister now 1-27. They shake off that zero match score. A map score 8-82. So there it is. They finally get a decent finish, at least for their own personal goals.
And honestly, it looked good. They did look the better of the two on Nepal, and again, it was close. They looked the better of the two on Numbani, much less close. Volskaya looked not close at all in the other direction, unfortunately, but then Route 66 kind of brought us back to the start again, where it was close, but they were just the better of the two.
Yeah, and it's like, then we're going to head into a couple replays here as well. I believe we're going to start things out with, this is going to be DeToNator's attack, if I'm not mistaken, right into the overtime. Anakin gets a bunch of kills here. If I'm not mistaken, he got about 3 or 4 kills. We almost counted them out. The Nano Boost immediately comes on, starts off by getting the mech out of Odinkin, goes on to Zetman, cleans up all the tanks, then goes on to the Sports. Suddenly, the rest of SunSister are getting kills off the backside as well, all off the back of one player and one committed Nano Boost.
And the unfortunate thing is, they're tunneled a little bit on Anakin. They're sort of going, oh, if we can kill Anakin before his team joins him, then we can close this one out. But I think they underestimated how close DeToNator were, because Anakin had kind of tightened the back a little bit. He wasn't actually hanging around the cart. He was well around the corner. And there were only a couple of members of SunSister that could safely commit there. The healers still had to be stuck back. So Anakin played that very, very well. He actually split DeToNator a little, drew them out a little. Sorry, SunSister drew them out a little bit and allowed DeToNator to come back swinging, and not dying was a crucial part of that. Part of that was that he maintained sightlines to his healers. That's why he was also able to receive the Nano Boost. So that was actually really nicely done by him.
And then he actually performed with the Nano Boost as well. Usually when you put a Nano Boost on a hog, mixed results is not, you don't get to shoot any faster. Your pellets do a lot of damage, but you got to hit them, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. So the fact that he gets 3, I think even a 3.5 kills, because he got the mech as well. I mean, started out by killing all the tanks, and suddenly we talked about this, and you see the effects on Numbani when both the tanks are down early. I mean, the entire team gets opened up, and that is exactly how SunSister won Numbani, and exactly how Anakin won that last attack on Route 66 for DeToNator as well.
Exactly. And one of the funny things about, actually, I'll touch on that in a moment, because here is now this next replay. So this is on their attack now, SunSister, on this final contest for the first point out of DeToNator. And what we kind of see out of this is DeToNator are trying to wrap around both sides, but this Transcendence is sitting in the middle, and now suddenly DeToNator is split up because of this self-destruct. You've got Dodlov on one side, who's struggling to maintain sight lines to everyone. Anakin and Saihari are kind of all over the show, and the tanks were way on the far side of this one. Meanwhile, SunSister were just sitting pretty in the middle. They could just pick each duo of members of DeToNator piece by piece. They went, all right, well, let's pick out these two, and then we'll go for these two, then these two, done. And just took these constant 6 versus 2s. The final thing I was just going to touch on, by the way, in the one before that is, funnily enough, when you put the nano boost on the Hog, half of the time it's not actually the ability to deal damage, it's that it's the threat. And actually the threat was what did a lot for them. Sure, they were able to get kills through, but the threat forced DeToNator to pull back and opened the way for that Earth Shatter, which really sealed the deal. So DeToNator did the right thing by pulling back, but it's interesting that it's not the damage necessarily from that whole Hog. Sorry, from the Road Hog, rather. Though I suppose it's the whole guy. he's all there. It's all of them. Yeah. But it's not just the damage from the guy. It's the threat of being one-shot that had to be respected.
Yeah, and this is a guy that usually one-shots you anyway, so actually what it does is increases his effective range. Now we're going to get into the next replay, and this is going to be
even better Earth Shatter. This is play of the game. And what this is Anakin got booped. Anakin got booped at that crucial moment and dropped the shield so that he could swing at Elu, who booped him. That opened up that Earth Shatter, and it was all just clean up from there. They didn't even need to use much more. They had the sound barrier to make sure it couldn't get turned around on them, but that little micro play there, knowing that when a support goes in against a Reinhardt, their instinct is, I can kill them quickly. Let me go ahead and swing my hammer. Knowing that was really clever by Elu.
Absolutely. These small kind of plays that eventually really push SunSister through, and we kind of notice small plays. A lot of these small plays do end up costing your team a little bit, and that's been across economics of the ult management and also in individual plays as well. I'm going to go into the next replay now. This is going to be in the time bank. Of course, SunSister are attacking here, and I believe the Dead Eye reflect will take effect. So actually look at Anakin's positioning, should be staying alive. Sound barrier keeps him alive, repositions behind the back into the hoodoo. You actually see him behind the billboard here. Meanwhile, the rest of DeToNator still onto the actual cap itself. No one really from SunSister able to do anything. That is the deflect from XQQ, and then suddenly the Dragon Blade comes out. Massive cleanup.
And the trick there is he needed a sightline onto Anakin. So he went up into the air, so that he could, so that he, exactly, it's off the billboard actually by Big Earls with the deflect running. So that was aimed while he was in the air and deflecting and just barely seeing Anakin through that. You see that big gas sign? Yeah. He was just barely able to see him through that. So it was good positioning by Anakin to leave the sight lines onto him tight while he had good vision on everyone. But Anakin totally read where he could get lines to, XQQ totally read where he could get lines to Anakin and then just cleaned up.
And deservedly so. Player of the game goes to XQQ. Fantastic Genji performance, just absolutely phenomenal. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on somewhere in the top 5, if not even the top, the number 1 of that top 5 weekly highlight. Oh, yeah. That if you've sort of noticed those sort of hanging around the Blizzard E Stadium Facebook page that they sort of post on out. So, you know, one of the most impressive plays I think we've seen. Not just from him individually, but also him within the whole SunSister side, and definitely their most impressive match in the whole tournament.
It's the deflect that won the series. There is no two ways about that. Nothing else was happening until that deflect happened, and it changed everything in an absolute instant. And that's these micro plays we talk about. Sometimes it is just, you know, something really that huge and that obvious and that significantly swingy. Sometimes it's a tiny thing like Elu going in for a boop. But SunSister with a team doing that all throughout the series.
And one more thing they'll get to collect. They got the handshakes already. They got that 1 win on the scoreboard. Now they're going to get a winner's interview, something exclusive for only the winning teams. We've never had a winner's interview before.
They have had couches.
SunSister.
They have had couches.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's just not the same. It's like, how did you feel about that loss? It's just not the same. I'm really excited to see what their thoughts are. Actually,
hopefully we get to really.
They've got to be beaming.
A couple of technical issues on that side, so apologise for that one. But hopefully we'll be able to get into the interview very shortly. I don't even know who's going to go up there. Who do you put up there?
Yeah. This is
XQQ. Why not?
I hope so, actually. I'm curious. I want to kind of hear his own thoughts about his progression through this team, because he's defined it from the moment he was a part of it.
Yeah, that would be something that would be quite interesting as well, because he has been one of those guys. So here we go. We are going to get into that interview now.
It is XQQ.
And I'll be translating this one over.
SunSister 在这个赛季的最后一场比赛终于胜场开胡
So
了。
the final
我们
match,
先请我们这场比赛的
SunSister
MVP
finally get in here. We've
跟大家
invited the
打声招呼
MVP of the match, XQQ. Introduce yourself.
BP 担当の XQQ です。よろしくお願いします。
非常非常的恭喜，就是 SunSister 赢得了这场比赛。那一开始，其实在这场比赛打出
So
了
at
非
the
常
start-
多就是精细的搭配。想请问一下 XQQ 前，
So I
请
wanted
问
to
前
ask
面是
you-
在藏招吗？
How did you feel at
最
the
初
start?
の試合と比べて今日はすごくいい試合になっていて今まではずっと秘密武器を隠していたのでしょうか。
いや、割といつも通りやった感じの方が強いですね。
他说他们没有在藏招啦，只是今天大家个人的失误比较少。
搭配的
Actually,
就很好。那其实也想请
a
问
lot
一
of
下
us
这
actually
个
didn't eat a lot
赛季
before
整
the
个
match,
下
which is
来
interesting.
第一次站上了赛后
So this is
访
your
问，
first
在这个
time
舞台上
in the
自己
winners
心情有
interview.
什么感觉
How do you feel about being here right now?
初めてこの OPC リーグで勝って、こちらのステージを立つことについて感想を聞かせてください。
とても嬉しいんですけど、できればもうちょっと早く立ちたかったなっていうのがありますね。
他说就是虽然就是很开心
I'm very
但是
happy,
就是还想要在更快的时间，就是可以站上这个舞台。
but I'd hope we could have gotten here faster though.
有点失望
Sorry,
吗？没关系，
that
最
is
后一
the one
场比赛
regret
就
that I
把它
had.
赢下来。但其实，在这场比赛里面，我们刚刚也看到了很多就是惊
In
喜
this
的搭
match,
配嘛。那
we
想
saw a
请
lot of
问一
really
下
interesting
XQQ，
things.
就是这边他们是自己共同讨论出来的战术呢，还是由一个人来主控，
So
然后
how
执
how
行
does
下
how
去
does the calling structure work? Does everyone work on it as together as a team, or do you make some of the calls
戦術
yourself?
的にはチームで考えたのでしょうか、それとも一人がコーチとかで考えたものなんでしょうか。
うちはコーチがいないので、だいたい Z マンと僕が考えて、それをみんなでさらに練習して、なんかフィードバックを混ぜつつやっていくみたいな、そういう形ですね。
他们目前是没有教练，所以他们
But
的
we don't have a
战术
coach at
都
the
是由
moment.
XQQ 选手跟 Z-Man 选
So
手。
it's usually myself and Z-Man together. The two of us usually work on the team together to make decisions.
就是队员，然后有一些心得，然后再做改善。
So we
那
review
你
the
们这
games
场
and we
比
make
赛
the
之后有没
changes
有对
together.
接下来的升降赛比较有信心，然后会去怎么样准备呢？
So how do you prepare for your matches?
勝つことについて、勝ってその次のシーズン2の予選に何が準備する方向性を見つかったのでしょうか。
今までそのソルジャーとトレーサーの構成をよくやってたんですけど、今回現地トレーサーに切り替えて、いい感じだったので、そっちの方向を伸ばしていく感じで、メタが変わらなければ多分、その入れ替え戦もそういう感じでやっていると思います。
他说，就是一直以来他们都是用一种长短枪的战术配合，但是最近就是尝试使用原式跟闪光的搭
We
配，
used a lot
然后
of
觉得
Genji
这个
Tracer
搭配
recently,
其实在他
and
们
we
队伍
found
上
that
是通用的。
this is
然后
our
希望
one of our
可以
best
在胜仗赛
compositions
打出好成绩。
and given us the
这个
best
赛季
results.
在今天就是对他们来说是画下了一个段落嘛。
So this is
有没
your
有什
final
么话
match
想
of
要
the
对
day.
支持他们的就是观众朋友们说呢？还有他的
Did
队
you
友
have
们
any
喊话
words to fans or anyone out there?
今日の試合でこのOPC リーグが終わるってことで、ファンの皆さん、あと応援してくれた皆様に何か一言もあるなんでしょうか。
ファンの皆様に勝利を届けることは最後になってしまったんですけど、だいぶ遅くなってしまったんですけど、これからも応援していただけるとありがたいです。
虽然就是这次跟大家打招呼的时间非常的晚，
So,
但是
it's pretty late at
希望
night
一直以来
right now.
支持 SunSister 还有 CharterQ 的粉丝们都可以再继续支持他
So
们。
so it's pretty late in the event as well, but hopefully you can still continue to support us. And thank you very much to XQQ. And I'll be heading on to the couch interview as well. That should happen in just a minute as they walk on over. So there it is.
Yeah, well, and there is still plenty of time to support and believe in this team. For those SunSister fans out there, you could
Believe in
support
the
them.
power
Yeah.
of friendship.
Exactly, yeah, believe in the power of friendship. You can support and believe in them through that relegation tournament. That is where they're going to be headed off the back of this. It is unfortunate that, yeah, this couldn't have come through earlier. They weren't able to kind of build their way out of that. But honestly, it's been stiff competition the whole way through. But after that, I think more than ever before, and possibly even for the first time, they can maybe start to feel confident that they will make it back from that relegation.
And actually the silver lining is XQQ mentioned, look, it took us a very long time for us to get this win, and his one regret is that he couldn't get the win quicker. Well, now they've got more opportunities to actually prove themselves again. They can get further wins on the scoreboard. It won't be the same scoreboard. It won't be the OPC Season 1 scoreboard, but it will be wins against other teams. It will be further opportunities to show their strength as a team. So you know what? This might have been one way to look at it is they are heading into the relegations. Again, the silver lining is more of a chance to see this team and for them to prove themselves on an international stage, on the OPC stage again.
And if they do make it back for Season 2, they'll have even more opportunities to prove that this wasn't just a one-off, that this wasn't just a turnaround shock at the last minute, this wasn't an upset. They can prove that this has been consistent improvement. And that is something I really hope this team is able to achieve.
Absolutely, I definitely want to see the most out of this team, and I believe we are getting into the post-match interview now on the couch, or that actually should be happening very, very soon.
I believe we'll have XQQ and Night Owl.
Well, what makes you think that? That's a very...
Just a hunch.
That is
a very
a-
strong hunch.
Oh, you could be the masters of guessing, and there it is. We are going to get straight into this.
邀请到 SunSister 的两位选手跟这个翻译副长来帮我们翻译哦。那这边也请你们来做一下自我介绍喽。
Hello，我是副长。自己紹介。
はい、ナイトオールです。
XQQ です。
好，我们今天非常开心可以邀请到两位，而且
We're really
今天
happy to
也是
have
他
you
们
here
的
right now.
首胜啦，也算是 OPC 到今天也是过了相当长的一段时间
So
了。
it's been a long
那这边
time
就
since
问
we
几个
had you
就
here
是
too.
因为毕竟这是最后一场了嘛，就是
So this is
问
the
一些
final
比较
match
难
day.
一点的问题啦。
今日は最後の試合、サンシスターとしては OPC シーズン1の最後の試合なので、ちょっと今までOPC 参加してきてについてのインタビューをさせていただきます。
はい、わかりました。
那这个其实 OPC 联赛一直到现在也已经过了将近3
So
个月的
we
时间了。
already-
那这一段
the
路
OPC has
走
been
下
going
来
for
其
3
实
months.
我可以看到SunSister 这边是走的算是蛮颠簸的。
So we
就是
watching the
还蛮
SunSister
辛苦的
journey
对
has
那它
been
有什么
a
有什么
very
感想想跟我
roller
们大
coaster
家
kind of
分享
ride. What kind of thoughts do you have over that course of
OPC 結
over
構
the
長い
course
時
of that
間やっ
journey?
ていて、もう3ヶ月ほどくらい日本から台湾に来まして、で OPC サンシスターさんが参加するときは結構いろいろ大変だったと思うんで、それについて感想を聞かせてください。
はい、おそらく、最初の方のインタビューでもちょっと触れたかなと思うんですけども、僕たちはそもそもスポンサーがついておらず、その資金提供っていう面でちょっと非常に難しいような話ではあったんですけども、ご支援してくださる企業さんがついていただいて、今回このような話が実現して、で来る当初、来る前はやっぱりこういうすごい大きな舞台で、夢のようなところで戦えるということで、すごい楽しみにしてやってきてたんですけども、やっぱり現実は結構厳しくて、はい、やっぱりどうしてもずっと勝てない日が続いて、このまま一回も勝てずに終わってしまうのかな、どっかで勝ちたいなという気持ちはあったんですけども、はい、今日ついに最後勝つことができて、Q ちゃんも言ってましたけどもうちょっと早く勝ちたかったなっていう気持ちは正直あるんですけど、なんとか1勝を挙げて帰ることができそうなので、はい、これからにつなげていきたいなというふうに今思っております。
就是我们到现在都其实，在第一周的时候访问他们的时候就有提到，就是他们没有所谓的赞助厂商，他们其实是有一些就是像认识的人，然后提供资
So
金。
we haven't been a team together for very long at the start.
来到 OPC 这样
We
子，
thought
像
even getting to
像做梦一
OPC
样都没有想到的
was a dream come true to start with. So we were very happy to just be here.
到了这边之后，
But when we
发
got
现
here,
其实现实还蛮
We
残酷
we
的。
realized
就是
it's still a very difficult journey ahead, and it was very difficult for us to really find a way to get through it. Every single day was very difficult, and we were looking for a lot of ways to try and improve.
选手也有说到，就是他们其实可以想要再更早一点获得胜
And
利。
XQQ said earlier that
今天获
we
得
wish
胜
we
利
got the
之
win
后他们
earlier,
是觉得还蛮满
and now we feel like after we did get that win, things are starting to really pay off.
要跟我们大 大家分享的吗？
感想についてお
And
聞き
also
したい
for
んです。
XQQ, how do you feel about that?
質問と同じく。XQ さんはこの OPC 長い間やってきてどんな思いとか感想を聞かせていただけますと。
来る前はもう少し戦えるかなと思って来たんですけど、実際入ってみるとかなり厳しい、内藤さんも言った通り厳しい日々が続いて、結構辛かったんですけど、その分その自分の良くないところだったり直さないといけないところだったりが見えて、それをなんか、今後の目標ができたのでとても良かったと思います。
就是他其实在来之前觉得应该
So
不
before I
会
came,
比想象中的还要艰难，他其实觉得可能还蛮轻松
I
的，但是
I
其
thought it might
实
have
实际
been an
到了
easier journey.
OPC 这个
But
圣
once I
地之
got
后，
here,
他发现其实并没有
I
想象中
I
的
realized it
简
was
单
going to be a
那
much
这
more
样子一
difficult
天一
task.
天就是他们
So
努力练习，
from day to
那
day, we've
今
been
天可以得
practicing
到这
very
样的
hard,
成果，
and
就
now
是他觉得可
we've
以
been
跟未来
now
他
we've
自
been
己
able to get to today where we
电
can
竞
get the
之
win.
路有一些可以接点的地方。
是个
So I've learned a lot in this journey.
那我有个问题想问 Night Owl 这边哦，就是从联赛刚开始的时候，其实他的这个造型还是蛮
So
眉清目秀
from
的
the。start of the tournament, your sort of
打下来之后
hairstyle and
这个变成
and facial hair has changed
比较
somewhat.
颓废风格的，是他的胡子有什么故事
So
吗？
is there something
内藤
behind
さんに
はい。
behind that?
質問をさせていただきます。
はい
最初の頃は内藤さんは結構綺麗なイメージをしていたのですが、
はい
今ちょっとひげ生えして、
うん
髪型もちょっと変えて、なんかひげについてストーリーとか
ストーリー
あったのでしょうか。
ちょっとせっかく台湾に来たということで、
はい
ちょっとイメージチェンジじゃないですけど、ちょっとチャレンジしてみようかなと、思ってで、パーマをかけて、でそのちょっとひげも生やしてみたんですけど、すごい不評なので日本に帰る前にちょっと元に戻してから帰ろうかなというふうにちょっと思っております。
はい
はい
其实没有什么故事，就
So
是
there's
他说
nothing
就是
really
刚
behind it.
好来到台湾，
it's-
就是一种异地的感觉。
When we got to
然后
Taiwan,
想要改变一下他自己的
I thought
造
it'd
型
be good for me to
但是
change
受
up
到
style a
各
bit.
地的不好的评价很多。他说他
So,
决定就是在回去日本之前，就是变回原来的自己。
So you know,
对，所以不
so
用担
now that
心
we're going back to Japan, I thought maybe I'll change my look back to sort of how I normally
わからなく
would
なっ
look in
た
Japan.
恐れがあるでしょうか。
ありますね。
可能会有。
可能会哦。那有一个问题想问 XQQ 这边哦，就是其实他是中途才加入 SunSister，
So XQ only joined in the middle of the tournament.
今天拿到胜利，就是觉得说这段期间，你觉得 SunSister 最大的
So during this
改
time,
变是什么？跟
what's been the
SunSister
biggest
有给你
change for
学到了什
SunSister?
么东西
What have you really learned in this period as
次の
well?
質問は XQ さんにお聞きしたいんですが、そのXQQ さんは結構遅めにサンシスタに加入し、サンシスタはその頃からずっとなんか自分のそのプレイスタイルもしくは戦術を教えたりして、今のサンシスタはどのくらい成長したのが、あとXQ さんから見たサンシスタはどこら辺が成長した、あとどこら辺が改善した方がいいのを教えていただけませんか。
正直言うと台湾、この1ヶ月、自分が来て1ヶ月2ヶ月ぐらいですかね、それぐらいでいろいろこう話し合いとかして、反省会もして多めのスクリームして、それでも治んないところは結構あるんですけど、確かに前はしなかった動きだったりとか、そのおでんくんとかが一番良くて、前はあんまり自分がやりたいことだったり、やってほしいことだったりを言わなかったんですけど、最近はその辺の改善がすごい良くて、自分から何をしたいとか、何をしてるとか、自分この行動を逐一報告してくれるので、すごいやりやすくなりましたね。でこれからサンシスターで直していかないといけないところは全部ですね。
他说，就是他加入之后，其实队员的
After I've，joined-
尤其是 Odenkun，他改变最多的地方就
But
是
actually,
他现
Odin
在
can
可能
change a lot.
其实 Overwatch 是一个很注重沟通的游戏。那你一
So
旦
it's a
没
very
有发出
game
自己的声
requires a lot
音，
of
别人就不知
communication.
道你在干什么。 就会变得说
if
你
you
好
don't
像没有
talk,
在做事一
people
样。那
don't know what you're
我
doing.
他觉得 Oden 改变最大的地
So
方就是
Oden's
他
biggest
会
change
报告说哦，我现在在干嘛，
has
然后
been
或是等一
to
下
really
我们要做什
communicate
么
well,
就是
to
会
to
有
really
一个
communicate, say
就
what
是
he's doing, what he would like to
互
do.
相交流这样
对的事情变多了，所以他觉得这是有进步的地
So I
方。
feel like that's been a big
他觉得
improvement.
就是未来 SunSister 还要需要改善的地方应该是全部。
But where SunSister would need to improve would probably be still
那这
everything
边就
else.
是差不多要到尾声了，还想问最后一个问题。
So my last question for
他
everyone.
们两个对他们未来会有什么样的期许吗？
So
これが最後の質問は2人ともお聞きしたい
now
ん
that
で
it's
す
all
が、
done, do you have any
その
final
こ
thoughts?
の OPC リーグでの経験をどういうふうに生かして自分の未来につなぐなんでしょうか。そのつなぐようになんていうの思いとかそうことを教えてください。
そうですね、僕は今回のこの大会で、選手を、
はい、
引退するということで、そういうつもりでここに来て大会に出てたんですけど、帰ったら僕はそうロスターから外れて、マジそうだよ。本当もう現役がもうちょっと仕事があったりとかがあって、ちょっと難しいということで、最後今日の試合がもう実質最後の試合になるかなというふうに思うんですけど、3ヶ月海外で、台湾初めて来た国で生活して、やっぱりずっと勝てなくて、でモチベーションとかもすごい下がっちゃったりとか、いろんな問題があったりなどもしたんですけども、今のメンバーで一緒に頑張れて、非常に良かったなと。自分の人間としてのなんていうんですか、器量というか見聞も広がりましたし、非常にいい経験させていただいて、チームメンバーやそれに協賛していただいた企業の方、招待していただいたブリザードの方、全てに本当に感謝して、今後の社会のその生活に役立てていきたいなというふうに思っております。
就是 Nigel 他就是本来就已经有决定好了，就是在这次的 OPC 之后他会隐退。
Nightel decided at the end of OPC he wanted to retire.
就是因为有一些工作上的问题，
So he would
就是会回到工作岗位
more
上。
occupational issues that
他
he
觉
would
得
like
就
to
是
return
可
to
以来
normal
参加
occupation.
OPC 这个
But
联
he
赛
thought that
他觉得很幸运，而且非常感谢。
it's already been an
不
incredible
论是
experience
支
to
援他
even
们
do
的
this.
人，或是为他们加油的人，然后
And
还有
he's incredibly
提
thankful
供
to
他
everyone
们
that
资金
has
的
supported
企
them.
业，然后跟暴雪的工作单位，还有这个电竞馆的所有工作人员，
And
他都觉得
everyone
很
at the
感
East
谢。
Stadium, and he wants to thank everyone involved with the
这
OPC.
边插 QQ 这边的。
Q さんは
内藤さんが割ときれいめなことは言ってくれたので、自分はその個人のことを言いたいと思います。この OPC っていう自分は2ヶ月ぐらい参加して長期的なリーグ、日本ではあまり参加できるような体験できるようなことではないので、初めてそのフルタイムでゲームして、その自分は日本にいた頃はある程度いい順位にいたので、このボロ負けしている状態のメンタルだったり、そういうのがものすごくなんか今後に役立つなっていうのはとても思います。
就是 OPC 像 OPC 这样的长期联赛，其实在日本是没有的。
In OPC, there's nothing like this in
可
Japan.
以参加这个联赛。
So
那刚刚
it's a very unique thing to
选
participate
手
in.
就是有提到比较就是像队伍面的部分。那他个人是讲一些个人的心得。那他是觉得说他是第一次，因为
So
他
this is the
个人在
first
日
time.
本的成绩是非常辉煌的。
So in Japan, his
他
results
是
are really
第一
good.
次受到就是连败的耻辱。所以
This
他
is the
觉得
first
就
time
是
it's been
他可
very
以利用
difficult,
这些经
and
验，就
it's
是
he's
为
learned
了
a
未来
lot,
去做
and
准
he's
备。他觉得对
used
他
a
来
lot
说
from
是
this
一个很
experience
好
for
的
his own personal
没
improvement.
错，哇，两位都是非常的健谈啊，那也非常可以感谢到两位来参加我们的这个赛后沙发区。那也
Thank
谢
you
谢
very
你们
much
大
for
家的这个
everyone from
thank you
DeToNator, sorry, for SunSister, and also
观
the
众说
translator
拜拜
from
咯拜
DeToNator
拜
for helping out. And there it is.
Well, there you go. What a send-off. Interesting to hear their own reflections. And also Night Owl, if I'm not mistaken, the man who founded that team, is retiring.
What a way to go, though. What a way to
Yeah.
go. I mean,
You
happy
definitely,
endings. Happy endings. They got what they wanted.
You want
and
that to be your
it's all
last
good.
match if you are retiring.
Yeah,
And they
exactly.
They do have a sub, by the way. The first week XQQ
Kira.
played, he was actually replacing Night Owl that week. So with Night Owl's retirement, I do expect Kira to be playing in the relegations tournament. But like I said before, sayonara SunSister, and what a showing before we see them again in relegations.
Absolutely, and that will be the next time that we do get to see SunSister. However, the next time we get to see DeToNator is going to be in the next match. It's going to be against Flash Wolves as well. So if SunSister were a difficult challenge for DeToNator, their hardest match is still yet to come, and that will happen very, very shortly. So stay tuned. Everything closes out in the final match of the regular season of the OPC right after this break.